Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Past the Barb. Today is Tuesday, February 6th, right?
That sounds right.
It's a Tuesday. I think
Mhm.
it's a Tuesday. So it's Tuesday. I'm your host, Adam Bartusek. I am joined by my good friends, Ryan Pinkalla.
Ready for this one. I'm psyched to be back.
We are back. And then our boy, Sam Sobi, not in his garage, in a hotel room somewhere.
Howdy, howdy. We're on the road. We're mobile. We're podcasting.
Moving up in the
mobile.
world, as it were.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, I just have to say thank you so much again. Ryan, Bart, and I, we were just sitting back talking about it. Because of each and every one of you, you have made us Past the Barb, the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. Thank you. Thank you. Can we give the listeners a round of applause?
Well done,
we
everyone.
can. And
Everyone
actually,
involved.
we need to talk about the whole giveaway we were going to do for when we reach 100 reviews.
Yeah.
Because
ratings.
I think we actually hit it. Believe it or not, I was just looking the other day and I was like, oh my God, I think we got to it. I know we did on Spotify. I don't know what we're at on Apple. We're still not quite there. So you Apple listeners, we need you. But Spotify, we're there. So maybe we can think about starting to give something away here. Because Spotify, we got there with the rankings. And like Sobi said, we are the #1 outdoor podcast in the world now. We have this massive budget to get guests and everything. But after last week with Weeb, we might not have guests for a little bit. You know,
we got to build her back up.
Yeah.
You know,
he originally came onto the podcast saying like it was going to be pro bono. And then later in the week, Adam opens his mailbox and it was like fat invoice. So he had to pay Weeb out.
Well, and the uncut lawyers are just
they're ruthless, dude.
Yeah.
They're Canadian.
Yeah, you heard all the lawsuits the government stuff, I should say, he's getting into with the documentary he's filming and everything. You know, he knows his shit
they're
now.
suing us for loon dollars. It's a
and the conversion is weird, you know. They get it.
They're really making out on this deal. Let's be honest.
The conversion, that's good. But anyways, on a more serious thing, we probably should figure out the giveaway. Our boy Drunkwood, I know he still listens to all these. I got to DM him in chat. We'll figure out. I know he had that Kentucky aged barrel muskie. We can probably figure something out with that. I know he said was going to do something. Hopefully he didn't burn it. I hope. I mean, he was like, I'll do it. And it was back in the summer waiting for us to get there on ratings. And now
it's been a hard winter.
Just hit it.
and I have a brand new idea. And this is just because we were talking about listeners. I think the boys and we need to set up a PO box or something so that people can send some stuff in. If anybody wants to send anything in, and we will show it off on the pod and bring it out. I'm talking weird stuff, outdoor things, indoor things, random stuff. We're gonna start a PO box.
We're here for the crazy.
And indoor, you know? You're really getting out there.
Yeah. What else is there really?
Okay, but so current events wise, what's everyone had going on? Pink, what you been up to?
Doing honestly still ice fishing, but I've been absolutely eating up this warm weather. Not gonna lie. I know some people are like bumming about it. Not this guy. This is my jam right now. So I did actually just do a little ice fishing trip though. Went with the boys up to Mille Lacs, and I have not done. Dude, it was fun. I mean, we did crush them, and it was not because of anything that I did. I got there super late. But
it's fine. It was a fun trip.
Well, I got invited to come up like the night before, and I was like, well, what time do you want to meet? And they were like 7. And I was like, wow, I'm not doing that. Because it's like, it was 2-hour drive, up there. And I ended up getting up there at maybe 10.
Pink and I are the night owls of the crew, and the other guys are like, yeah, before sunrise is great. And whenever they say that, we're like, oh, fuck me.
Well, I would have been fine, but I'm like, I had to drive there. It's not like I was staying there, and we're just like going to wake up and just go. And they were like, yeah, we're meeting for breakfast at 7, and then we'll go out. And I was like, well, just send me a pin.
Send me a pin.
But no, we went out, fished some I guess closer to shore, rock stuff. There was a ton of people fishing mud out in, deeper part of the lake and everything. We set up on some shallower rock stuff. And I mean, from the moment I got there till basically we left right at dark essentially. And we crushed them. I mean, there's a little bit of slow time during the middle of the day, but I mean, we caught like, I don't know, like 30 walleyes probably. We got one big smallmouth, which was real cool on a tip up.
Was this on Saturday or Sunday?
This was on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, that was the most beautiful day ever. That was the most beautiful day.
Was it Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday was mega nice. Sunday was the wicked nice day.
Yeah, had to be. It was 50. I don't even know. It was this past weekend. It was foggy all day. So maybe
I think it was sunny down here and it was foggy up there. Because that's been the weird thing in Minnesota lately is like certain areas are getting burned up by sun and certain areas are just staying foggy. It's very weird.
I don't know, but it was foggy all day, but it was sweet. Like, yeah, we caught some really nice fish. We ended up keeping, we got 4 that were like in the slot. So we, of course, knifed them hard.
Lucky. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, yeah, the one that I ended up knifing was like the last fish of the day too. We're like getting ready to pack everything up. We had iFish Pro fire and went over there and leaned on them. It was like, whatever, 22 3/4, and they got to be under 23, you know? Just
did they have
an absolute
cheeks? Did you
cheek? Meaty boy, the loins, dude, unreal. Yeah,
they looking healthy out there right now.
Every single one we caught was fat as hell, dude. And I missed JB caught one before I got there, and I saw the pictures of it, and it was just round, dude. Like, I don't know, but I guess everyone that we talked to was catching them. And I talked to some other people that were up there all weekend too, and same deal. And they were catching lots of like nice ones, like not just small, you know.
Was there a lot of permanents out there? And then was there a lot of groups out fishing?
Yes, but not where we were. The spot we were on, there was literally one other person fishing.
Okay.
Well, you know, like as I was driving there, I drove past a bunch of areas and there was trucks out everywhere, but there were, hundreds of permanents out there.
That's cool.
You could see. And I mean, people had trucks. There was a ton of ice where we were at. People were still driving like full-size trucks and stuff out, but we just walked. I mean, we walked out maybe like a mile or so max. I don't know, maybe not even that far. It was chill, but it was a fun day. We were just sitting out there. We drank a absolute whole like jar of like apple pie, and it was fun. Burned up
Pink,
a bunch of
Pink, you got to tell Sobi about it because he'll empathize with him with this. Tell him about your drone fiasco.
Okay, so yeah, so I was trying to make a video, right? So I'm out there, I'm filming, and like we were getting all this good stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fly the drone around. Like it's foggy, this ice looks awesome because there's no snow on it, right? So you can see like all the cracks and like all the cool stuff. Put the drone up, I fly it around, getting all some cool whatever. And like I said, we're maybe a mile out on the lake. And I'm like, I fly it to shore, right? And I'm getting some like straight down drone footage of like the shoreline and everything. And I start flying it like over land. And like my phone sucks real bad. Like it's super old, you know, and it does not like being cold at all.
Oh.
And so it just died. My phone died. Nice. Okay. And now the drone's probably like almost 2 miles away at this point. And my phone dies. And I'm like, oh, that's.
And for the people that don't know, that's how you view your drone, like what your drone is seeing.
Yes. So my controller has no screen on it other than my phone, which it's plugged into the phone is plugged into the controller. So it should be like powering it. Well, when my phone gets cold enough, that doesn't work, like because the battery gets so low and then it just dies. So I was like, well, that sucks. And Hayes is standing over my shoulder and he's like, where is it at? And I was like, that is a fantastic question. And so now, I unplugged the phone from the controller, and like when I unplugged it, it had like when I was watching the screen, it had like maybe 70% battery left. And I'm like, okay, well, I've had this happen before, but it wasn't so far away. And I was like, if I can get my phone to turn back on, we should be fine. You know, it'll reconnect and the whole thing. Yeah. So I had like one of those little power boxes, right? So I plug that in. And like your phone doesn't just like turn on right away. So it takes like a couple minutes and the little Apple logo shows up. I'm like, okay, we're back. You know, it turns on and it's like going through the thing. Okay, undo that, unplug the cord, plug it back into the controller, which has like a power cord. And I'm like, go back into the app, go into that. And then it dies again. And now I'm like, oh God, now we're in worse shape. So I'm like, this is not going well. I finally get it like charged enough, and I'm just gonna leave it plugged in for like 5 minutes and just hope to God like this drone doesn't just crash somewhere
from the sky.
Yeah, and I don't know where it is or anything. And so, so I plug the phone into the power box again. It turns back on. I let it charge till it does like 5% battery. I plug it into the controller quick because I'm just like, as long as I can tell which way it's facing, I'll just start flying it, like towards me. And so I plug it in, and now it won't connect to the drone at all.
Really?
Like it's saying can't connect to aircraft, or whatever. And I was like,
I wonder if it was just because it was so far away.
Well, that's the thing. And now I'm like, well, I haven't seen that before. and so I'm like, there's like not a lot of good things happening currently.
Yeah.
And the entire time, these guys are just laughing their ass off, right? They're just standing there because it is funny, but I'm just kind of like, this sucks. And so then I'm just like trying to remember like if there's any way that you can like do anything. And so I start like dinking with the button. So there's one like whatever button on there that is like it sets like
return to home. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, it's worth a shot. Like, I don't know. Like it's not connected at all. So I push the button and it starts beeping like a lot. And I was like, well, something, that's something. And so, but like, there was a little breeze, so it took a long time, but we're just like sitting there and the thing's just beeping like crazy. And they're like, what does that mean? And I was like, no idea. So we're just sitting there for probably like at least 5 minutes and just like nothing happened.
They're like, what does that mean? You're like, this is plan C. I don't know what this means.
I was like, we're just along for the ride now. So we're just literally sitting there. And then like 5 minutes later, because like when they return to home, if you don't like set the altitude, it comes back at a certain height. Like it flies up to like 300 feet and then comes back to and then lands. So we're just like sitting there and you just hear this like faint like prop noise. And we're all like, it came back. It came back.
Boomerang.
Yeah. And it was like, 300 feet up and then it took forever for it to land. But yeah, it never reconnected the whole time until we got it like back like on the ground and figured
the real question is how much battery was left when it did land.
I don't even know. It was actually, it was under 20% because like it has the lights on it.
Yeah.
And when it gets below that, it's just one and it's flashing, and that was happening. So yeah, I don't know. I
was telling Ryan, I've had that happen to me one time where my phone died. And it was down when I was fishing the ABT 100s down in Alabama. Yeah. And I was on Lay Lake at the beginning of January. So I'm in my boat and it's like the end of the day, the sun's setting, and I'm like, all right, I'll just grab a drone shot or two of the boat and then I'll head in. And my phone was low, but once again, like Pink says, it has a plug. So I'm like, oh, it'll just power it. Like it'll be fine. I put that thing up, fly it away, and all of a sudden my phone dies. And I'm on water. So like I can't hit return to home.
Yep.
So now I'm like, shit. And I get down in my boat and I start driving along the lake, like just looking in the sky, like where on earth is this thing? Eventually find it and then have to like fly it back and try to like get it going in the right direction. And like when it's coming at you compared to when you're looking at the screen, everything's backwards and like you're also in a moving boat. Yes, exactly. But the one terrifying thing is you're on water. You're not on ice.
True.
Yeah. Like I always say, like whenever we're drone flying in the ice season, I'm always like, if it crashes, I'll find it.
Right.
When it's open water, it's like it's gone forever. Like it just sinks and it's gone. So I've had that happen one time, and it is a terrifying like 5 to 10 minute.
But it is like once that happens or some weird drone stuff happens once, it's like the next time you're in that scenario, you're like, it's fine. Like we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I only had that happen one time other than that, and it was in Nebraska, and I was flying it and I didn't know where it was. And when it finally reconnected, because I was actually messing with the joysticks that time, trying to be like, maybe make it go up or down and I'll see it move. Absolutely didn't. But when it came back on, it reconnected because this was when we were bow hunting down there and it was all like cattle ranches. And when it turned back on, it was like 6 feet off the ground, just surrounded by cows. I was like, oh my God.
But it turns back on and you just got a fucking cow like right here, just staring right at it. You're like,
and I was like psyched that it turned back on, but I was just like, oh, okay. Well, that was cool. But I will say the drone footage from Mille Lacs turned out awesome.
Dude, I feel like it always does. I always feel like drone footage looks so sweet, But while you're getting it, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but my experience every time I fly it, I'm just like, it's not like you're having fun. It's not like it's enjoyable. Like people around you, like, that's so cool. But if you have enough of those bad times, I just feel like
it's always stressful.
It just feels sketchy.
There's so much anxiety.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I've never like, if you hop on a bike and you haven't rode a bike in a while, it's like, oh wow, this is fun. I never like grab my drone after a while. I'm like, oh wow, this is fun. I'm always like, get some stuff and then land.
Don't crash.
Yeah. Then get it and bring it back.
Yeah.
Like
see, I've seen like a lot. Yeah.
I was gonna say
all the
when
sensors go off, man.
Oh, dude, when I bought my first drone, like when I first started the media company, I was out on Minnetonka filming that documentary, like that little mini film I did on Chad Smith.
Yeah.
And we were just getting some shots of him driving around. Like, you want to talk about horror show. It's like 20-mile-an-hour winds out there, and I'm flying it, and everything's good. And like, still to this day, Pink, you probably watch, like, I never catch a drone with my hand. Ever.
No.
I never do. Other people do. I never do. And it's because of this instance. I'm bringing it back to my boat. It's on spot lock. I reach up to grab the drone. The moment I grab the drone, my Ultrex cable snap. So like I grab and I start drifting away, and it revs because like it's programmed to stay in a spot.
Yeah.
And it almost ripped all my fingers off.
Oh my God. Dude.
So all of a sudden there's blood all over my boat because I like let go of it.
And it's just shredding you
right there. I can't use my trolling motor. So I like had to pull a sock off or like a pant leg or something and wrap it around my hand that's gushing blood.
Dude.
And then I like idle my boat by it, bring it down, and like have to grab it with the other hand, land it, set it down. And then I call Chad and I'm like, dude, you need to come over here and help me. Like, I hope I still have my fingers. Like, I haven't really looked yet, but there's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And he gets over and he had to help me put like 7 Band-Aids on my hand.
Yeah.
That I had in my first aid pack just to get it done. But yeah, dude, drone stuff, like once one thing goes bad, you're like scarred from that thing, and you just don't do it again.
I'm gonna tell one more drone story, and then we'll move on so we don't get off on a tangent. Like,
I just think of the Schwamigan one with you, so the
Schwamigan one is crazy. Adam and I have had lemon drones that have popped up and shot into forests and just played pinball off every tree. And we were not touching the controller. It was on a path of its own. And then,
dude, that was the best because that was, sorry, you'll tell yours, but like that was so great because we're kids filming TYO, and I popped that up, and you and Peric are filming that coffee commercial.
Yeah.
And I send it off, and he starts laughing because I'm like, it's not coming back. I'm not controlling it. And I crashed it in a snowbank on purpose. And then we took it to the hotel that night, and we're like, oh, it's probably good. And I vividly remember the next day you being like, yeah, dude, it's probably fine. Like, I'll fly it. It's no big deal. And I'm like, okay, I don't trust this thing. And you put it up, hit forward, and it just
went. I held the control with one hand and went, I don't have my hand on the gas. Nothing's on the gas. And just kept going at like 12 feet through a beautiful, lush forest and goes, boom.
It hit like 12 trees.
And we looked at each other and we're like,
yeah. The best part about that one was I sent it in faulty because something was happening, but I was like, they're going to be like, no, you hit a tree. Like, that's not why this is faulty. The best part is they didn't just send me a new one. They repaired it and they sent me the invoice. The invoice for the repairs was $43 less than the value of a new drone.
Wow.
Like, they could have just sent me a new drone, but they instead replaced like every part of
like
the
all
drone.
they kept was like the battery cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
There you go.
Okay. Anyways, tell yours, Sobi. But yeah, I just thought of that one because that was so funny. I just remember a pinballing off of all those trees.
Last one. We're on this was years ago. We're on Lake Comodero in Mexico. I'm fishing with Andrew Flair, or I'm filming Andrew Flair for some Guggen Squad challenge. And we have, our little boat captain, and these are like the Gen 1 drones. Might even been Wes's drone.
They were so bad.
They were just bad. And this is the one you have to manually put the propellers on each one, and this is beat up. This drone is beat up, and it's had some faulty deals before. I go to launch this drone off the back of the boat, and this is like the big white ones. Everyone's probably at least seen them or can picture them. And it goes, and on one half of the drone, these two propellers go into the water. And on the other side of the drone, it has two propellers. This thing gets up off the ground, and I knew it was about to happen. It was going to freaking start barrel rolling right into the water. I freaking reach my hand as it starts to barrel roll over, grab it, push it down, and like press it against the boat. And I try to hit the battery. And just like Adam, same thing. It's just ripping my whole arm up, dude. And it's hopping off the ground.
And those things are sharp.
Oh yeah, the white ones especially. Yeah, they're sharp. And it was, same deal. Like our little boat captain there spoke no English, and he like takes his shirt off. He like wraps my whole arm up. He's like, "Oh, good." And I'm like, yeah. We'll just go next spot.
It's a bad spot.
Oh God, dude.
But yeah, current events for you, Adam.
For me, man, it's been kind of like Pink, except I mean, I didn't go to Mille Lacs and do that. I was home editing, but the last since we recorded has just been a ton of ice fishing for me. The last 3 weeks has just been a ridiculous amount of ice fishing, and I would say a ridiculous amount of really good ice fishing.
That's awesome.
So that's been really fun. Like legitimately the best times of my life, like the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's been a lot of fun, like a lot of fun, just a lot of memories with all the, whether it's Ryan and Waldo and Griff, or like just me and Griff, or me and Waldo, whoever it is, like it's just been really good. It's been a lot of fun.
We caught the ass.
It's been going down.
It's been going really down. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I was doing a podcast with Clam the other day, and I was like telling Matt, I was like, I know we need people on the lakes with permanence and stuff to like keep the ice industry going, but also if nobody ice fished again and it was like just me and the boys, I'd be pretty cool with it. Like this is pretty sweet. Like it is crazy though, with like the no pressure on lakes, like lakes that are super, super pressured. How in one winter they don't have pressure, and you go out there and they just act normal.
Yeah.
They're just not like pushed off into a corner, all broken up. You just get out there and you're like, oh my God, like all the big ones are in one school.
And sweet. I know the ice isn't just like ideal or normal for this time of year, but it just seems like there's just a huge lack of people fishing. You just don't see many people fishing, even on the weekends. Like you just haven't been seeing that many people.
Yeah,
at least not down here.
Definitely. Yeah, not toward the metro.
No, so it's been it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we got another video coming up soon that'll be it's gonna be sweet.
So ice predictions as far as February 6th, 2024 for the metro. Will we lose it? Will we not lose it? It will get too sketchy to walk out.
How is it looking by you right now? Like your lake?
It's like
Can you get on it?
Yeah, but it's odd because like Sunday was so nice. It was sunny, and I swear it was 55 degrees, or at least 50. Like I cleaned out my garage. I could literally put things in my yard. But then on Monday, I was playing with my Mega Live a little bit, and I just like walked on the lake I lived on. And the first 2 feet are obviously really gross and bad. That's kind of what you expect after it's been really warm. Mm-hmm. But so I kind of like just hop, skip on. And as I walk out, I'm even like 20, 30 yards out from the shore, and it's like cracking under me a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it just feels sketchy and soft. And I'm like, that got really freaky quick. And I had buddies ripping out there in 4-wheelers on Sunday a little bit, and even Saturday. And it was just like, I was spooked 30 yards out a little bit. I'm sure it's still fine, but it just, it's
from what I know,
it's going to be dependent on the lake, though.
It's very dependent on the lake, because I've been out. I mean, like I said, Griff and I have been out a lot, especially through this last warm spell.
Yeah.
And we've watched lakes go from like 13 of really good ice to like we're going around with live and I step on an area and drill and it's soft 6 inches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, this is scary. But then like Griff was out on a different lake yesterday and he's like, dude, it's making ice.
Really?
Like, I don't know.
Which I don't know how that's possible because it was not below freezing even.
Yeah, but he's like, there's more ice here now than there was yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm
it's like it has been getting below freezing at night the past several days, though. The next few days, though, are not gonna.
No, but I think that's gonna be bad. I think the one thing, like, I thought we'd be open right now. Like, based on the forecast and everything, and we're not. And I think what's saving us, actually, as crazy as it sounds, is not having snow. Because if you notice, most mornings are really foggy. And I think it's keeping that ice cold until like noon or 1, and then it starts to deteriorate rather than like all day. And you don't have it.
It's harder to get water on. Like there is water on top of the ice, but it's not like melting snow where it's like soup. Because dude, I was right before this. I was just on a small lake down the road here, and it's not big. It's like probably 6 acres. I couldn't even get on the north end of it at all. Like it was 20 yards of legit open water, like no ice.
Yeah.
And go to the south side of it and walk on a sketchy 2 to get to like the main ice for like 20 feet. Like it was not like cracking, but it was like I could see it was like legit, that thick. And then the rest of the lake was all like 5 to 7 inches probably of
Did you catch?
Not good, but we caught some fish. Yeah, just some small crappies. But I was just like looking around with live because it's a lake that it does have big fish. But it was weird because, dude, there are so many fish in this freaking lake right now. It's mind blowing. Just in general, just the amount of fish. But there's just like a lot of small ones. But it was, I mean, getting around out there was fine. It looked really bad. Like when you're just like looking around, you're like, we're gonna die for sure. But like there, like once you drilled through the top was like a 1 inch of applesauce, and then it was just like 5 to 6 inches of clear hard,
applesauce.
Yeah. And that I would say too, I think that is also what saved us is the ice that we did grow was concrete.
Yeah.
Like, cause we had that -10 week or whatever. And like, I know Ryan and the guys went out immediately after I was editing for a day or two. But like they even said, they were like, it's like kind of hard to drill through. It is so damn hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like but then by the end of the day, it was like not like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you start in the morning with this really hard, it's like throwing like really fine shavings. And by the end of the day, it's just like piles of like, like
the last day Griff and I had out, we kind of, there's been other people still going out, but we kind of called it. We were drilling holes and I told the boys, I'm like, dude, they're not even a cylinder anymore. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're just drilling and there's just chunks flying out everywhere.
Yeah,
you look down the hole, it's just like chunks. And you're like, even if I hooked a big one, I'm going to lose it. Like it's going to break off. Like there's edges everywhere. But anyways, to answer your question, Sobi, I think it's going to be very lake dependent. I think some lakes might open up in the next day or two, just with the warmth and the rain we're actually going to get.
The rain
However, anything that holds on through Friday, it's going to get cold again. And
it will, but I think
firm up.
I think the side note is that if you got a lake with an access on the north end, you're probably going to be burnt after this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like even small like stuff around like my work, dude, north end roached already of like every lake.
Yes.
So if you can get on the south, you're probably good, but like, dude, forget about it otherwise.
Yeah. So I don't know how cold it's actually going to get towards the end of February. It keeps getting colder. And from what I'm hearing, it's gonna, get colder. But I don't know. I still think we're gonna be like, if you want to ice fish, I think you're gonna be able to do it into March.
I'm just surprised. Like I honestly thought we'd lose a lot more in the past 2 weeks.
I thought you could get a boat out right now if you wanted to. Like if you would ask me,
you can on the river right now.
A week ago today, if you would ask me, like, do you think you could launch a boat next week? Like I was talking to Noah Schultz about it. I was like, you're gonna be able to bass fish in a week, dude. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, the ice is terrible already. And somehow, by some grace of God, it is holding on.
It is nuts. It is nuts what it really takes to like, yeah, because you get a couple cold nights, boom, you can get a base. But you get like a warm week,
I think you
and it
also
doesn't
think
even totally go.
I thought of this too. Yeah, it is January / beginning of February still. That sun is not near, like, yes, it's 50 out, but it's not like when I'm out and it's 50 at the end of March, I'm like pulling every layer off my body. Like, holy cow, it's hot. But I was out with Griff the other day and it was 52. And like, I'm in a sweatshirt, but like, it wasn't, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting roasted right now.
Like the rays aren't hitting the same, dude.
No, it's not quite as, exactly. The rays aren't hitting the same. So it's just, I don't think it's shredding it as hard.
Yeah.
But I would say into March. What do you think, Pink?
I honestly don't know, because it is interesting to see like how long ice hangs on. Like, I know a lot of times like, oh, you hang up the gear a lot earlier than like when you physically cannot get out anymore. But seeing how warm it's been and how much ice is still around, I think if we get another cold snap, because we'll build ice through that for sure. That's like, I don't know. I think it'll probably be at least through mid March. I think at least lakes. I mean, the river is tough because once it's open, it's actually really hard for that to refreeze. Like, I've seen that a bunch where it's like once the water starts to warm just a tick in those like areas with springs and current, they like do not want to refreeze at all.
And like, I've seen people even who've dropped like temp gauges underneath the ice right now, and it's like 38-degree water. It's not
really.
Like, it's not like 34.
Yeah,
like it's warm water. So like, you're not. I don't think you're
in
gonna
lakes. You're talking.
Yeah. So like, even if you think of that in the river, right? That's not going to freeze. Like, it's not cold enough.
Yeah. And like all the melt, like, dude, we have zero snow, like zero. So like any water we get that's like either melt water or rain that's flushing down into the river is all warmer, because it's like, it's literally just running off the ground.
Yeah.
And then going down in there.
Yeah. Just the only thing I don't know is this rain we're going to get basically tomorrow night through Friday. You think of what happened over Christmas, and we watched 5 inches basically disintegrate immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that going to happen again? Or is it holding on? And we're going to have a lot of wind too. So I don't know. We could report back in 2 weeks and be like, we lied. It's all gone.
It seriously,
but it might freeze again, because I'm looking at the extended forecast and there's nights that are like 10 degrees. And you're like, okay, well, that's below freezing.
We're definitely going to talk to our grandkids about this one. Like, I'm excited. I'm glad that we have some of this recorded just to chatter about it, because like, it is just, we might not see this again.
This is crazy, dude. Honestly.
I was just hoping, I will say, I was just hoping for the boat and like, okay, I'll just go open water fishing. But now seeing how good the ice fishing's been and everyone hanging it up, I'm like, I wouldn't hate if it froze again and I get another 2-3 weeks to do this, because it's been pretty fun.
You gotta agree though that for overall, like, the fishing's been very good. Overall ice season / ice season vibes, not good.
No.
Across the board. You know?
Sobi and I were talking, like, I think I noticed, like, normally ice fishing, like views and stuff, like what we do for a living, right? On YouTube, normally in about a week or two from now is when everyone kind of gets sick of it and they start dropping off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking back at my analytics now. It almost seemed like that hit like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, started slowly happening. And now it's really starting to happen with the warmth. And it's like, yeah, just like Pink said, the vibes are just
doesn't, especially because
like everyone just said, fuck it.
no snow is around too. So like, when it's warm and there's absolutely zero snow, it's like, it doesn't even look like winter. It's just
well,
like,
no. And there's like just like
winter.
winter sports hype is just like, you can't even like go skate at like outdoor rinks and stuff, dude. They're all totaled and like everything.
Yeah. Weird.
It's weird. But yeah, no, so that's I've been up to lately has been a lot of ice fishing. I'm just planning for, I don't know what the next month or month and a half might look like. But as of right now, honestly, it's kind of fairly chill, because we did a pretty hard 2 or 3 week send, and we have the warmth now where it's like I don't really get to fish very much. So kind of get a hang around and actually take a load off and chill a little bit, which I'm pretty excited about, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Sobi? You been fishing still a bunch, or what you got going on?
Yeah, fishing a bunch and ice camping. I'm really excited that I got out ice camping a little bit, and Stephanie even got out
How
too.
have you liked that? Like, honestly, like watching it and stuff. Do you enjoy it?
I think, okay, yeah. Here's a good example. Like when you're self-filming ice camping, sometimes it can be kind of like an undertaking because it's so much gear, and obviously it's different. Like if you can drive your truck out or a machine, but walking all the gear out is like a lot of gear, like a lot. And for one man, like a lot, so much. So that part is kind of like, oh, and then when you try to mess with the cameras and stuff, you're kind of like, this is a lot. So that's kind of a bummer of it. But then like over the weekend, I went ice camping with Steph a little bit, or on Friday night. And that was like, and I didn't film any of it. I was just like, she's never stayed in a hub overnight or any of that. And I've done that, with pals from burbot fishing to back home to just passing out in the fish house, like overnight, like done that my whole life. And she's never done that. And it was cool. So it was way fun. Yeah. Hell it is actually a lot of fun, especially when you're not filming.
Well, and it wasn't like below zero.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And especially for running tip ups for walleyes or whether you go for pike or whatever you go for, like this weather has been like primo for tip ups or iFish pros. Like no holes freeze. You don't have to walk around and recheck. It's like you got them set and you're like, we did good. It. We're good. We got lines in. Like pop.
No, I was curious of that because I've actually never done that. Like I think I've stayed on the ice even in a permanent only a couple times. And it's just for me, like if I'm out there, I'm fishing.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to fish, I just go home.
Yeah. Like, well, we did that one 24-hour thing that was kind of like ice camping.
Yeah, but once again, we didn't sleep.
Adam, you would like it. You would like it, especially if you're like, you got some good boys around you and you're going for walleyes. And it's like a tip up deal or a set line deal where like you set your set line in the house and you're like, tip ups out, set lines in here. Now we're chilling. You just a lot of BS and.
Well, and we could set up like separate hubs, so like you could do your snoring thing like way far away.
Yeah, that I feel like that's the other problem is I get really bad. Like, I don't know what the word is for it, but like I feel really bad that I snore. So like I never want to be the one who falls asleep before everyone, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, we couldn't sleep because he was snoring."
Yeah, and I'm drinking like NyQuil. Because I'm
like, like when we went out to Watson's and we saw all the bunks were in the same one, I looked at all of them and I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Honestly, the worst one was when we stayed at that Permian on White Bear Lake, dude. I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is how it ends, dude. Oh, God.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been good. And it's kind of the double-edged sword because, like, I'm trying to keep good perspective because like I'm sad obviously that the ice is like diminishing right in front of our eyes in the metro, but at the same token, like you guys have ice fished so hard for so many years and those wicked cold snaps where it's so cold and so windy and you literally like your hands hurt, your face hurts. You guys even being mobile, you're just like you come in like you fish a bass tournament and you got everything beat out of you. You know what I mean? And during negative temps, like negative 10 with wind during a normal ice season, if you fish hard all day, like, you have just gotten so smacked and beat and wind burnt. And then like we have these temps where we're like, dang, the ice is going. And then it's like, we got to remember, like, we haven't even really had to endure conditions.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's the whole reason I've like been like, yeah, whatever, I'll drop everything and go. Cause like you go out there and you're like, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, you're not
the
like
only thing that sucks is trying to get mud off of all the ice houses and machines. Yeah. Our poor snowmobile, dude. Oh fuck, I feel so bad for that thing. Polaris, if
hasn't
you're
even seen snow,
this,
dude.
Yeah, Polaris, if you're listening to this, just disregard this. But yeah, that snowmobile has seen more
it's
mud
a mud
and
mobile,
gravel than it's seen anything. We have figured out how to operate that thing on no snow, which is probably not good, but
wow.
Yeah, so that's been the big bummer. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like Sobi said, the fishing's been fantastic. And for anybody who still does want to ice fish, obviously the metro is going to get a little sketchy and weird and all that. But like,
be safe, be good.
What nobody's talking about is There's a lot of good ice up north, and nobody's
Tons,
like
dude.
going up north to go fish. Like Pink said, he went to Mille Lacs. Like, dude, Otter Tail County Lakes area, they have like 10 to 18 inches.
Yep.
Devils has 2 feet.
Yep.
Like,
Bemidji has
there's a
like
ton.
14 inches. I was out there today. That's where I'm at right now. Like, and it's weird talking with a lot of our pals who are locals, you know, kind of as you move farther and farther up the ice belt. They say it's odd because like it's not like people are coming. It's not like people are going. It's not like people are flooding. It's not like, oh, the ice isn't great in the metro. Everyone's flooded up north. There's not that many people out ice fishing. So if you have the itch or the urge still,
it's
go.
so good.
Go.
It's so good.
The fishing's phenomenal.
Go get them. Yeah. And lakes are empty. Go get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're empty, and resorts need it right now. So
yeah,
definitely grab some buddies and go stay somewhere and have a good time.
Yeah, but let's diverge from ice fishing. So we went into fishing reports. Have we heard from Wild Bill? Is he in Argentina yet? Has he found an Argentina?
I think he said he was finishing up in Idaho.
I talked to him today briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, talked to him today briefly. Today was his last day fishing in Idaho.
Yeah.
And he was hoping to be on, but he was driving back to Montana tonight right after fishing. But today was his last like booked guide trip.
Nice. He's probably excited about that.
Of the like Idaho season. But yeah, and I think because he's heading to Argentina at the end of the month here. So like I think he's probably going home, getting some things buttoned up for that. And then I'm sure hype levels high.
And then Cody Honner, where's he been? What has he been up to? Have you spoke with him?
Just a couple Snapchats today, but he's working, man.
He's been grinding.
Yes. Hella electrical, whatever project. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever place they're working at now looks like. So, I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of these pictures, man.
How would you describe Cody's title at his job right now? Commercial electrician?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm not in the know on like that industry enough to know exactly like what's what, but he works on like the industrial level electrical work in like these big buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
But wherever they're working at now looks like he's working in goddamn Star Wars something, dude. Like it looks rugged wherever he's at.
His Snapchats are insane. That's something also, if anybody's listening, please follow Past the Barb on Instagram or any of the following social medias that we'll have listed down below, because we want to start being much more active on there, because Cody Honner, the stuff he sends in Wild Bill and Bart or Ryan, just from the day-to-day, it's pretty incredible stuff. So we need to keep the shenanigans going just off the pod as well. So we're going to try to get better at that, because Cody's snaps are unreal.
Next level.
Yeah. He's in some sort of war zone every day, and it's just, you can't write it. That's all
it's say. Part job is like actually doing electrical work, and the other half is just sheer survival, I think.
Yeah. The adventure getting to and from where he needs to do electrical.
Cody.
Cody. That's a great way to describe it. It is.
Just the porta potty experiences I've gone on with him through Snapchat have just been incredible.
That man.
Take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back.
It is though. Like I just think like outside of just like the outdoor stuff, like everyone's got so much stuff going on. It's honestly crazy that we gotta figure out how to show more of this, because we kind of keep it to ourselves a little bit too much, I think, sometimes. But god dang, do people need to know.
Yeah, we try to do the best we can with it, but it's also like, these are the fun moments of our life, and it's really hard to just be like you get to the shitty part and you're just like, I just want to get through this.
I know. But we'll get better at showing it. We're gonna keep people involved.
Yeah.
The Past the Barb family, for sure.
Yeah, yep, definitely. So what do we got up next, Pink? What do you want to dive into?
Well, we'll get into a little bit of what in the world's going on here. We kind of, I don't know, been lacking a little bit here, but there are some interesting things going on in outdoor world, the world in general. I'm not sure what you guys all got, but I just got to lead off with one here that I came across today, and I just had to learn more. I really did. So there is a this headline just kind of caught my eye, but the story here. So Provo, Utah, there was a teenager there that went through like the juvenile court system because they actually got caught. And this was like a multiple occurrence thing that they were caught, and they were only, I think, convicted or whatever, charged with a couple of times because they couldn't prove the other ones. But this dude was so in Utah, he was catching trout and other species of fish and duct taping them to ATM machines, just like around town.
What?
And he got caught.
Say that again. Say that again.
So he was duct taping trout to ATM machines around Provo, Utah.
Okay.
Interesting.
And then he ended up getting busted
because he was the motive.
Because he was duct taping a couple of trout to a cop car, and turns out they didn't like that, obviously. And so whatever, they ended up catching this guy. And the weird thing is, like, you know, the news outlets, I feel like sometimes put this information out. They don't have like all the information, right? So it's saying like this thing about like they caught him because he was duct taping these fish to a cop car. He's been taping them around town. He was putting them in the stall at the if it was a Bass Pro Shop or whatever, like some sporting goods store, that he was like taping these fish to the wall in the bathroom and stuff. Yeah. Like, I don't know why this became a thing, and they never said like why this dude was doing it. But then there's just like one line in there that says that he may have also been caught doing this in Japan, and then no other information.
What the hell?
What?
Yeah. So I don't know. And they don't say like who it is, because the guy was like, it was like they were like 17, so they can't like release their name or anything.
Yeah.
But it just left like a lot of questions, I think.
Why? What would be the motive of that?
It's Mav. He may have been caught doing this in Japan.
Well, that's the thing. It's like crazy. It's, you know, because it's like, you know, young man intentionally taping dead fish to ATMs in Utah, and one case in Japan.
You imagine?
What a line. And one case in Japan.
You imagine, like,
maybe he just started at Utah, and then he was like, bitch, I'm gonna take this international.
This is global.
I could so do this in Japan if I wanted. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, all right.
Could you just imagine, like, his thought process was just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a $2,000 or whatever the flight is to Japan. It can't be cheap.
Yeah.
Over $1,000, I would assume. He just goes there, tapes a trout on an ATM, did it. Grab some.
But then I'm wondering, like, did he catch them? Like, what kind of fish did he catch in Japan? That he's like taping to the wall. Because I was thinking, like, I suppose he could have went, like,
trout, or are these like fish? Wild stream trout?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you know, who knows?
And what I want to know is, like, they almost had to have just caught him, because how do you just bring in random people and question that, like, them, like, yo, hey, we just like to let you know, you live in Central Park and there's been some weird disturbances. Have you seen anyone taping fish to ATMs? And there's people in there like,
and then you go, you know, now that I think of it,
yeah, is this for real? Are you being for real?
honest question here. What law is he breaking?
It's true.
So that's the thing.
So plot thickens.
So let me get. I'm telling you,
good point, Adam. That's a good point.
The entire time I was
really like going to the cop car. Like, I feel like then it's like, okay, like you're defacing. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah.
Well, so they were trying. They wanted to pinch this guy with like wanton waste of fish, which makes me think that he was catching them. Like, they wasn't just buying the fish, right? But the crazy part was, you know, they're talking about how like, oh, like they caught him because he was posting this shit on TikTok. Okay,
it was just TikTok
and getting like monster views.
Yeah,
and they didn't like catch this guy because they saw it on TikTok.
Really?
Yes.
Like they were just probably getting like local reports, like, hey, I was just trying to pull out $20. And there's
just trying to buy some pull tabs.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find where because I know they said what his handle was. Fish Bandit 84 is his
he is a fish bandit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
he
So
lived up to the name.
They didn't like triangulate him off his video posting to when he timed it or anything. Like this is just
put
from
it this way,
local report.
it's like he was burnt from the moment they found his page, because like on his TikTok, right? Because you know, have like your like bio, or you like, you know, put something about like what your channel is. The bio of Fish Bandit 84 says, "Live, laugh, tape fish on ATMs."
Okay.
This guy.
But this does bring back Adam's whole question. Like, you know, he gets swatted up. You know what I mean? They tackle him. They got him in cuffs back of the car. And he's just like, sir,
what'd I do?
What exactly are you arresting me for?
Like you're like, and some of the pictures are fantastic. Like this one where he's got, so here, can you see this? He just taped a trout right to the screen of this ATM here. and really a multi-species angler, because here he's got, you know, a nice carp, you know, on one there. And then my personal favorite is just a beautiful channel cat. You know, right?
Unreal.
Sobi, we got to step up our YouTube comment, man. Or content. This dude's taking over TikTok, just taping a fucking fish to an ATM.
What did he eat or what did he drink that woke him up in a cold sweat 2 a.m. night where he's like, dude, I know what I'm filming tomorrow. I'm taping these fish right to the ATM.
Forever.
Dude, the worst
Forever.
part
and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it again and again and again.
The worst part is in 3 to 5 years, this guy's going to get an outdoor podcast that surpasses us as the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. And everybody's going to be like, how'd you get started? He's going to be like, yeah, I was just taping fish.
There's no way he's convicted and in jail yet. We need to reach out and find this man and get him on the pod.
Yeah, you need to slide in his
Fish
DM on
84, lock it in.
Oh my gosh, what's his first name?
Well, they didn't release it because he's a minor.
Slide into his DMs and be like, yo, we need to get you on the pod.
Before you go to jail.
But
after. If you word it like that, he's in.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like recent because it says they closed the case in December. So it's like, you know, like fairly recent or whatever. But yeah, so I think they were still working.
And he's a minor, so he's probably just grounded in his parents' basement right now. They're like, dude, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
He's just acting out.
Jim, I told you to cut that shit out.
He got cut from the high school basketball team, and he's like, I'll show these guys.
Yeah. First you do this in Inglewood, and now Japan. Timothy.
Like, it would be hilarious. It would be hilarious, since this is a kid, if it like actually is something as simple as like his like junior math teacher owns the ATMs around town, and he's like, I'm gonna get this guy.
Yeah, I will get this guy.
It's just like the thought process behind this investigation
I just want to know.
Is hilarious. Because when you read this article, it's just like I was dying laughing.
This isn't on The Onion, is it?
No, this is for real. Like
this is too obscure. This is too obscure to know.
I mean, it was on the local. It's everywhere, dude. Like a lot. There's like a lot of news outlets talking about this, which I think is awesome. Like this kid is probably living it up right now. All his buddies like, oh, dude. So.
Yeah.
But like for sure, you know, because like they're going through and they're talking about it like professionally, like as an investigation, you know. And like this kid's posting this stuff on TikTok, and they're like, well, it's unclear if all the fish taping was done by this individual.
Yeah. And he's like, it's my account, dude, and you can see me do it here.
Yeah. Like you want to see me do it again? But yeah, roughly 13 instances where fish were taped to ATMs and other objects. So there you go.
I'm looking at TikTok. I don't have TikTok on my phone, so I had to Google it.
Yeah, Fish Bandit 84.
Yeah, wow. He's only got 2,829 followers.
Wow. Well, in this article, it says he has 52K.
I could be wrong.
Maybe it's a Well, it says, yeah.
Are you looking on TikTok?
Oh, that says on his Instagram. Instagram 52K on Instagram.
Okay. I'll look on Insta. I just want to look into this guy
more. Bandit 84. I mean, we'll get him on. So
yep, we're gonna get him on.
Yeah, for sure.
Fish Ryan Bandit 84.
Bravo.
That is fan. And I love that his title is The Fisherman. He's up to 105K followers now. He's only got 14 posts, and they're literally all him taping a fish to an ATM.
Here's a crappie one. Posts. Well done. He got a crappie. I think he's just a multi-species fiend, really.
Dude, the caption of that crappie one, have you read the caption?
No.
the caption. So he has it taped. Like I'm looking at the post, right? This is the one you're talking about. The post, the caption just says "small one this week."
Dude, and like obviously he deleted a bunch of stuff. Like
it's done. It's done.
All right, so stand by for Fish Bandit 84. We'll make it happen.
Oh yeah. Well, he has the video of him doing it to the cop car up there. This is awesome.
Bravo, Ryan. I wonder, will he have predecessors? Like, if say he goes to jail and he's locked up.
Maybe. Like, I mean, I can appreciate the detail though. You know, like the carp with the cig in its mouth, and he just flips.
That's the last one.
You know,
here,
it's beautiful.
Sobi,
it's really like artwork.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's so obscure. Could it be interpreted as art?
Or you know, the one with the largie where he's taking a shit, that's premium. Like, you know, how do you come up with that?
Sobi, just look at this one I just sent you. Just look at the way he filmed it and everything. It's like actually hilarious. Like this kid knows exactly what he's doing, and it's so good.
It is. It's great.
I mean, me personally on text.
It's no, it's on Insta DM.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know. I mean, I'd like to know what type of tape this is as well, because it seems to be like exactly what I need for a lot of functions.
Okay, hold on.
What are we watching here?
It's that. I just like if you're walking.
Okay, if you're listening to Pass the Barb right now, I would recommend that you stop everything
you just
you're
need
doing.
to check this guy out.
This will not take a lot of time out of your day to just really understand the gravity of the situation.
So, I just sent you another one. There's one of him sitting on a shitter in Bass Pro Shops, and he's got a bass tape in the inside of the door.
No way. Dude, these are real fish. Dude, and it would be
sorry, I had to go down that. This is incredible. This is the best thing that's ever been brought to this podcast.
Going to Bass Pro, and
I do not advise people doing this because obviously he's breaking some sort of law that will.
So we're going to request.
Hilarious.
We're going to request everyone that's a fan of Pass the Barb reach out to Fish Bandit 84 and let him know that he needs to become the next guest on Pass the Barb, and we will close the deal here. So if we could just have people reach out, and we will make this happen. I think it'll really be entertaining for everyone involved.
With this absolute fish menace, dude.
I just want to know.
Wow.
What's he catching him on? A Cinco?
I don't know, dude. He's dials, you know?
Yeah, multi-species. He's got a crappie, a carp, a trout. Like, oh, phenomenal. That's good, Pink. That's good. All right, Sobi, what do you got?
Wow. Mine is nowhere near that caliber. I'm just saying that now. What's going on in the world? I want to say potentially this morning, maybe it's this morning or last night, February 6th or February 5th, Toby Keith passed away.
Unreal.
And that's kind of a big deal. He's a country music star legend. I'm talking should have been a cowboy. Ain't as good as I once was. Beer for my horses. Like that's just a few among, you know, tons and tons and tons of top hits. So a country music legend goes down, and yeah, shout out Toby Keith.
Yeah, fueled many a late night.
My dad turned on. Oh God, I'm not necessarily the biggest Toby Keith fan, but the song that's about America.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. But the amount of times my dad turned that on in the vehicle when I was young and we were driving somewhere,
yeah,
he belted it out loud.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was the Red Solo Cup for me. You know, that song really is just wow. You know.
But the one thing that's
okay
is I feel like he was suffering pretty bad. I think from like stomach cancer or something.
Yeah, he had stomach or colon cancer, I think.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's a sad deal, but it's also kind of like he was living in some pain. So I think he's definitely at peace now.
Probably a dude that living life to the fullest, though. You know, definitely had some good times, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he might have taped a fish or two to an ATM box,
no doubt,
in Nashville back in the day.
No doubt.
It is cool though to see like a lot of people, like social media is blowing up, obviously with posts of like people that either have met him or were like at one of his shows, which I think is kind of cool. Like to just see like how many people are like posting about stuff like that. Like you kind of get a feel for like how big a celebrity some of these people are. You're like, oh my god, like seems like every other person I know posted something about they seen him or like met him or whatever.
Yeah. Like that's what's crazy is like these artists can like their careers can kind of slowly dwindle and they're just kind of like OG legends. And then when they finally pass, like it kind of comes out of the woodwork that like, wow, every single person that you know, or almost like every other person you know, knows who Toby Keith is. Like that's
like
incredible.
literally.
Like literally. Like, isn't that crazy to be like, yo, everyone I know recognizes that name Toby Keith. Like that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Icon.
Yeah, that is an icon. Big time. All right, Adam, what do you have?
I don't have anything necessarily formal, but the more of what in the world was going on, we're kind of going back to the ice fishing stuff a little bit. Yeah. I was just going to talk about I just saw another snow bear went through up on Devils, but it's just like the sheer amount of stuff that's going through the ice this year. We were talking about earlier, be smart. And like, this is probably not the year to look at an ice ridge and be like, I can make it.
Yeah.
Probably not the year for that. Probably not the year. Definitely don't do that. Cause there's a lot of people going through the ices. Like if you're walking and everything and you're like watching yourself, it's been plenty safe. I don't know what it's like right now, like in regards to that around the cities, but up north and stuff, like as long as you're not being dumb, you can. Yeah. It just seems like there's a lot of people pushing the limits a little bit this year. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff like Mille Lacs, you name it, just wild stuff that I've never seen before in terms of the ice. Like I saw Kyle Lynn posted the other day. He was up on Mille Lacs the same day as Pink. He just found a floater. Did you see that?
What?
So like there's a ice ridge or a crack, and then another crack that went through. And there's an area of ice probably the size of my desk in the middle of it that's just floating. So like you step on it, it like waves around, and it's like, like you hit that with a wheeler, you're over the handlebars.
I do think it's probably just like inconsistencies and how it froze and like stuff like that. Because even like where we were, like I said, we pretty much had over a foot to like 14 inches and pretty much everywhere. But then there were places where you drill a hole and you're like, that's 8.
Yeah.
For no reason. It's not like it was a different sheet. Like it was literally just like I walked 20 yards and it's 8 inches right there.
Yeah.
So weird.
So
so that's more of all I had really was just like, because you can't really pick one article. It's just more of just the sheer amount of stuff that has gone through the ice this year.
More than normal.
More than normal, with like 4% of the amount of people fishing. 2?
Yeah.
True.
Like the ratio is wicked.
And it's like, it's a sad deal, right? Because there's been like a handful of like fatalities with it too, which is just like, that sucks. Like, but it is like one of those cases where it's just not safe, man. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just how the ice froze this year or whatever, but it doesn't make me want to just go somewhere and drive my truck on.
Yeah, no.
Like, even if they're like, no, dude, it's good. Like, there's tons of
that's like like Griff and I were, like I said before, we were out the other day and people were ripping wheelers around. I looked at him and I was like, should I even bring the machines? He's like, nah, we'll just walk. I'm like, yeah.
And it's not that hard to walk. Like,
no, there's no.
Yeah, it's easy pulling.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Brian, any honorable mentions? I feel like if you had that, what did you have as a plan B?
I actually do have one other one that I wanted to bring up that I think is interesting. Kind of interested to see your guys' take on it. So
you got taping deer heads to bar stools.
Oh, so you've heard of this. So this one is maybe you're familiar with that crappie that was caught in Kansas. Have you heard
that freak hybrid? Yeah.
No, I didn't hear this.
So last ice season there was a crappie caught that was recorded as the new state record
through the ice,
Kansas.
Yeah.
What's that?
This was caught through the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was through the ice. Guy caught it in Kansas. And it was, so like I said, it was registered as a new state record. Then they go through like the process of like, they have to wait. So like whatever, 60 days or something before they're like, yep, it's a verified state record. So last spring they did that. They verified it as a state record. It went into the record books as the new state record, 18-incher, 4.07 pounds. Okay. Huge crappie. It was a white crappie too. It was registered as a white crappie.
1,000% a hybrid from the pictures I saw, but yeah.
Well,
unless it's a different fish, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, we know that they get classified.
We'll
as
put it
white
this
or
way:
blacks
in
or
Kansas, they only recognize white and black crappies. There is not a category for hybrid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, the previous state record was 4.02, so it beat it by 0.05 pounds, basically.
Wow.
Okay. And that previous fish, I think that it was much shorter too. Like it was obviously a very built one. It said the first one came out of Farm Pond. This one was out of Reservoir. Interesting thing is that so they weighed the fish on a certified scale after the like 60-day period to verify it as a state record, right? So the Game and Fish Department in Kansas verified that, and then pretty much out of nowhere. So I was curious to kind of hear the angler's take on this, because the way that it essentially played out from all the information that's available is that after that 60-day period, they verified it as a state record. It went into the record books. Shortly after that, they said they got a tip, whatever that means. They didn't specify, that there may have been some like falsifications of something as part of this fish catch. Okay. And so the Game and Fish Department came to the guy's house and seized the fish under like a warrant. So the guy like had this crappie in his freezer because he was planning on like getting it mounted or whatever. So they came there, literally like took the fish from him. Okay. And then they removed the record from the like record book and everything without like explanation as to why, other than they received a tip about something. And the Game and Fish Department is continually saying that they're saying that the way that the paperwork was filled out was improper, and that if he would have filled the paperwork out properly, it would not have been a new state record. And so all of this transpired over last year. And in November of this past year is when they removed that record. And this is flaring up now because the guy is basically looking at the Game and Fish Department, who came to his house, sees this fish. He actually didn't break any law. There were no laws broken or anything. Like, he basically submitted this as a state record, and they're saying that he falsified something on the document saying it was a state record, which he says he didn't do. Cause he's like, I literally just, it's like, there's like 4 things on there, actually, like where you caught it, what you caught it on, the weight of the fish, and like the date or something. Like, it's very minimal, the amount of like information provided. But the guy still, like, they basically took this fish from him, so he doesn't even like have it anymore. And they removed his record from the record book. And there's a lot of comments saying like, if you didn't break any laws, why'd you would you just take this fish from the guy? Or like, it's a very weird deal. And
I texted the pic over, Sobi, if you want to see it.
Yeah. And the Fish and Game Department, just keeps saying that they can't release any information until the case, because it's still an active case or whatever. But my question to you is like, okay, first of all, one, would you ever care so much about a record that you would go through like all this BS? Like, if you caught like the new state record crappie or whatever, and then there was like opposition to it, would you just be like, screw it, like, I'm just over it or whatever, or not? Like, would you push that hard, like go through this whole thing? But
if I was the Game and Fish, or the guy,
like, say you were out fishing today, you caught this fish, and then this is like the scenario you're put in. Are you just over it and you're just like, whatever?
No, I'd be so mad. I'd want that fish back, dude. I'd want it mounted. I'd be like, no, dude, I have the state record. I caught a 4-pound crappie. Are you kidding me?
Especially because it's like, if you didn't break any laws, it's not like you went somewhere, you were trespassing, or like you didn't do anything wrong, that they came and like took this fish like literally out of your freezer at your house.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
like,
I would like, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Is that picture I sent the one you're talking about, Pink? It's the one Waldo sent to all of us.
So that is the fish. I think like when it was caught, and then there's another picture circulating of like, this is like well after it was dead, let me see. I can send you guys this one quick, but yeah, I mean, I just think it's interesting that
if the Game and Fish weighed it, I assume they X-rayed it. Like,
well, and so that's the thing, is the guy is saying we weighted on a certified scale. I don't remember where it said that this certified scale was, but they were like, they had a Fish and Game biologist come out, verify the species of the fish. Like, it was all legit, you know, and the guy is saying like, I did everything you guys asked me to do. And now you're telling me I did something wrong. So I think it's weird. Like, I don't know what
yeah, it's very weird.
They don't specify like what this tip was. Like if somebody said something was up with like the scale they weighed it on or whatever, but I just think it's very odd.
Yeah,
right?
That's weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Very weird. I don't know. Like in regards to the like, if I would go through that much, I've like thought about it, like in the sense of like, what if when we were filming we caught one that like contested the record?
Yeah.
And for me, like, don't pin me down because I don't know what I'd do if that actually happened. But like, I've kind of always been I've always thought that like if I was filming it and everything when it happened, I'd probably just catch and release it on whatever scale I have. And just be like unofficially, but like it's huge. And then get a replica. Now, if I wasn't filming, maybe a little bit different because it's like, I don't know, maybe I'd want to register it, but I also don't know. I've never really thought of like, what if that situation were to happen to me? But I do know if all of a sudden I was going through all that and getting dragged through the mud, I'd be like, dude, I don't even want to deal with this. Whatever. It's
like,
a
it's just not worth it anymore.
I caught it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just sent you a picture of it. It's dead in this picture, but like that's the same, you know, that's the fish or whatever. I think probably at when they weighed it or whatever.
Such a large head.
That is 1,000% a hybrid crappie too. Yeah. That's cool though. Very interesting. They logged it as a white.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Log it as a black.
But here's so I kind of was like, I'm going to research this a little bit, right? Because I was just like curious because obviously like, okay, was it a hybrid? Most likely, yes. I mean,
definitely. Well, like Waldo and I have talked to Jimmy Lawrence about this. He's the guy who does a lot of the replicas for the state records around the country. And Jimmy's told us, he's like, dude, like he said something like over 50% or something. Don't quote me on this, but he said a lot of the state record black crappies people say are out there are hybrids. He's like, it's just people don't have a classification for it. The Minnesota, I mean, even the Minnesota DNR until the last year or two is the first time on Lake Finder and DNR reports I started seeing hybrid pop up on stuff. But anyways, go ahead, Pink.
Go ahead. This is a random question. What's the state record crappie for Minnesota?
5 pounds.
No way.
But it's one of those old ones that has been contested heavily, which was why they were going to like wipe a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's like a 20-incher.
And it's from like what, like the 40s or something.
I believe it's 20-incher, but 5 pounds, dude.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. If he did catch a 20-incher, I think it would weigh somewhere close to that.
Especially from where it was caught.
Because caught fish, not similar in length, but like.
Where was it caught? Was it lake or river?
River. And one you're familiar with.
Yeah.
But it's just, and like seeing like people are going to see it in the video that comes out this week. We've weighed some very big fish, and based on the growth rate of inches and like how they put on pounds, especially hybrids, if it was 20 inches, it was flirting with 4 3/4 to 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Based off of what we've seen.
Again, you would assume that it was a hybrid, you know.
It was it was for sure a hybrid. It was
because here's the interesting thing. So this is where I was kind of relating back when I started looking at Kansas and just looking at like their records, because I was like, okay, well, you know, I wanted to see the previous one, see like who held the previous record, like if there was anything there that it's like, you know, why would who would be contesting this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't really obvious because the previous record was from like the 60s, you know, whatever, 17.5-incher, 4.02 pounds. But then you go to black crappie, and the state record black crappie in the state of Kansas, 22 inches, 4.63 pounds.
That I don't believe. I don't believe a 22-incher
in a pure black.
Yeah,
22 inches.
I've never even heard of one being close to that long. And if it was 22, if it was 22 inches, it would be well over 5. Unless
kind of
it's
what I was
like
thinking.
mega malnourished.
It could have been really thin.
Old.
It could have been old and
just
thin
old
in the
and
back.
dying, but 22, man.
22 inches.
I would want to see
22.
pics of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't,
there won't be any
that one.
pic.
I don't believe. Yeah.
A very
And again,
I mean,
so then, but it is interesting. Like all of these records, all of these records that are like the ones that you're like, really, are all like super old, right? But typically, like where you see the number that you're in question of, it's usually weight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not length. Whereas this one, I'm like, I could see that being, that if you're calling it a 22-inch crappie. But then you go over to like, okay,
but also, was it a 20-incher and the mouth wasn't closed back in the Dizzy?
22 inches, 4.63 pound black in 1957.
It's a long time ago, man.
That's why it's like, okay, at what point? Because like, is there even photographic evidence of this fish?
Yeah.
Or whatever,
That's like we've talked about before. I would really like if there's like if there's not legit documentation of this fish, like a photo or like something where you're like, okay, like that I don't necessarily believe it, but like you can't really argue it.
Yeah.
If it's not that, I just wish they would wipe them and like just do new ones, because it'd be cool for all the states. Like, I mean, especially in Minnesota, dude. Like if they were to wipe the crappie records, it would be sick. Because like they
almost should have done that during Y2K, like the year 2000. Like these were the records in the 1990s.
Didn't we hear that they were going to do it this year?
They were supposed to do that this fall.
Did it happen?
I don't believe so. But then, yeah, I don't know.
It would conjure a lot of publicity just around fishing.
Well, yeah, because people would be like actively trying to,
we would actively try to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, dude. The crazy thing is when you hear about like state records, stuff like that, at least around here, every single one seems like highly controversial, and like the person that actually registers the fish gets so much negative blowback in like so many different ways, like all the time. Isn't that
like
weird?
The only one I can think of that hasn't was like when Mark Raveling beat the largemouth bass one, like I don't know if it was like 15 years ago now or whatever.
Yeah, maybe even 10, a decade.
Yeah, I mean, it was when Jay Carlson lived next to you on Cedar.
Yeah.
Because he was with him when he caught it.
Yeah.
That one was like, okay, yeah, that's legit. Like, like he got an 8.15. That's crazy. But I think it would be so good for the state too, because like I think right now a lot of people don't necessarily believe those fish are around. You know what I mean? And like if they reset that black crappie record in Minnesota and the white
and bluegill and bass, and or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you reset that record, dude, like I mean, like, dude, if you reset the smallmouth record, someone would catch a 7.14 to an 8 like next year. Like there's been I know of 10 of them that have been caught in like the last 5 to 6 years. They just haven't,
or they open up catch and release for like,
or they open up catch and release a little bit. Yeah. But like in the black crappie one, for example, like even this winter, like I know of an 18 and a quarter that's like 4.25 pounds that was caught and released. And it's like, then that would get publicized and people would be like, oh my God.
Like, yeah, but like so back in the day, dude, like there was so much more hype about fish records.
Yeah.
Like, well, and now they were constantly being broken and like
you can't break them.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think there was like that mattered to people. Like now it's like cool. Yeah. Like if like one of your buddies like held a state record, you're like, that's cool. But like
I would kind of think it would be sick. I think it'd be. No, I don't even care the species.
But like, dude,
I think you hold the dogfish for state record, something crazy. Like I think it'd be
like,
sweet.
Dude, back in the day, these guys that were like breaking these muskie records and stuff were like celebrities.
Yeah.
Like locally, like it was a big deal. And like there was like feuding about shit like this,
Well, yeah, because then people knew lakes it could happen on. And like there's like the old school California, like think of when Dottie was going on and people were trying to break the world record largemouth. Like there's like damn near gang wars going on of like literally, people trying to like break this record, catch this one fish because they know it's in there. And like that hype and stuff, I mean, it's really good for the industry and everything. It would be super cool to see, I think. Like, I wish we could have that opportunity to do that because, you know, like we said, like right now it's like, do I believe that crappie thing happened? I don't know, because there's no documentation, but like a lot of people dispute that one and say it's not possible. And I think like Pink would agree with me, like from what we've seen in the last like 2 or 3 years, if they caught a 20-incher, it probably weighed that.
In that place, for sure.
In that place. Like,
yeah, no doubt in my mind.
I would believe it because that's one of the places I would believe it. Like,
okay. Interesting. I just finally stumbled on this. So, starting March 1st, 2024, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources will toss the records into a separate state historical record category for the 12 species that have been some of Minnesota's famous record fish, and then begin installing new certified kept fish records for their place in the official state record books.
Does that
starting March
crappie?
1.
Does that include the black crappie?
Yes.
Okay, we're
March 1 this year?
March 1, 24.
We're going to go set that state record.
So
oh my gosh. Is that for real?
So the 12 state fishing records include walleye, northern pike, crappie, coho salmon, lake trout, smallmouth bass, yellow.
Can you send me that article?
Bluegill, bullhead, channel catfish, carp, and flathead catfish.
Like, if that's actually a thing that'll happen, that would be awesome. Because like I said,
it's literally in a press release.
The smallmouth will be 7 pounds. And like, if that actually happens March 1st, I will be out every day March 1st on going, I am going to like, let's set this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We waited to catch an 18.
Well, and the crazy part is there's going to be this huge influx of all these people registering like 16-inch crappies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be no established record. And then obviously they're just going to have to like throw a bunch of those out. But
wow. Can you send me that article?
Yeah,
I will. Yeah. Yep.
Dude, we should go for everything. Dogfish, everything.
Yeah, dude.
Yellow bullhead.
That gets reset.
Just
and we're
anything
like,
on this. Yeah.
You got a lake that's got hot yellow bullhead?
We're going to set the state record for
I want to go on this podcast and say I am the current Minnesota state record holder for
something.
For yellow bullhead.
Yeah.
Dude, I know a lake you could get a really big one. You do too, Sobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some species of fish that are like very attainable, right? Like dogfish is one of them.
Yeah.
Like that's a fit. Like I have a place you could go catch the state record right now.
Yeah.
For that.
I think the state record dogfish has come, I think it was set and then broken out of the Mississippi River. Same pool as Wabasha.
Yeah.
Pool 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because I looked it up because I've found so many big ones in that place, and I was like, "What's the record?" And then I seen what it was, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we could break that tomorrow, dude."
Oh, I want that. I want the dogfish for some odd reason.
Oh, I got the place.
Should we do it?
No doubt in my mind.
God.
I dug them up. Yeah, dude.
Dude, Minnesota bass. That's gonna like a largemouth. Like, there's gonna be some.
Well, I don't think largemouth is on the list. Smallmouth was.
Largemouth wasn't on the list?
No, because it was just recently caught.
They were only wiping these ones that they're calling historical records.
Like the ones we said that like there's no evidence. Sure. Mark Raveling's is like there's pictures of it. It was for sure caught. It was weighed at that bait shop in Victoria.
I think it was in Cabela's for a long time until it died.
Yeah, like that fish is mega legit. Like very legit fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that smallmouth one will be sick because it'll like that. Like I said, there will be a 7.5 to like upper 7 caught because there's been a ton of them caught. It's just
and who knows, maybe this will spark like a resurgence in this like people caring about record fish kind of thing because there's been so many records that have just been locked down forever because they were unattainable because they were probably fake anyway.
The only thing that may suck is with that, there's going to be 1 or 2 lakes where there's going to be a lot of people poaching some fish off of bets for that smallmouth.
For sure. Potentially. But some of these other fish species are not that way. You know what I mean?
No,
like, I think bass is an interesting one that way because they can be targeted like that aggressively, but we'll see. But I didn't know that it was March 1.
Glad you found that.
Coming
March
quick.
1, that's okay. All right. Maybe we've been changing our We've been changing.
Maybe we'll have laid ice
over and over and over.
Laid ice.
Laid ice.
Yeah. Maybe we need to change our plans one more time. Just be like, yeah, okay, screw everything else. Let's try to set the state record.
And to do it on video.
Oh, that would be even better.
Yeah. Well, because the best part would be it would get registered and everybody would know we caught it. And then we'd be like, you'll see it.
The video's not dropped yet. Like, they put that shit on the news.
We just quietly slide it through, and then slowly it bubbles up, and people are like, "Oh my god, they got it!" And we're like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying."
It comes out in the fall.
Dude, that's so cool. That makes me want to like
hype.
Dude, that makes me want to hunt for it all summer, like different species. Like,
and there's 12 species that are going to be open.
Like, why not hunt for like all summer, like in between some bassing? Like, why not be like, all right, this week we're gonna go bassing on the river.
That's the new series, the Dirty Dozen.
The Dirty Dozen.
12 new state record fish.
Let's do it, boys.
I'm in, dude.
Let's lock it down. Awesome. And then someone catches like a 60-pound carp, and you're like, "Fuck!" Well,
yeah. And then it'd be like this. You were like slashing tires. Fuck that guy,
dude. The carp, because it has to be on rod and reel, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
you go out to Minnetonka and you just start dangling bread down there. You're like, come on.
Invest in corn. Everyone, invest stock in corn.
That'll be exciting though. I didn't like.
That's cool.
How is no one talking about this?
Yeah, wow. That no one knows this is happening.
Breaking news on Pass the Bar.
And I will say,
I was March 1st. There's going to be battles at certain lakes on March 1st.
Send me that article, Ryan.
Like, dude, it's one of these ones where you have to subscribe, so it lets you read for like 2 seconds.
Send it to me.
It's a Star Trib article, isn't it?
The Duluth News Tribune apparently wants Fat Stacks to read this article.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, for some of those records, dude, there's going to be people lined up on March 1st potentially, and there's going to be battles.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
Could you imagine, like, especially for that crappie, like if people actually try to go do it, there will be people scoping one fish, just like, just like knocking each other over trying to get it. It'd be so funny.
You get a 16-incher, boom, on that day, you have the state record.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And it might hold for a while.
Yeah.
Until someone else reports it. I still think like
it's still going to be a big one.
You're still going to need a really big one. Yeah.
But I am curious to see, because it's like, okay, so you know what the current state record is. So it's like, unless you have one that's 5-pound range, you're not even going to consider registering it. But I'd register
a 3-pounder.
No, I'm saying currently.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it's like, it begs the question, like, well, how many giants are you not hearing about? These like 4.5s are being caught, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying
every year.
Like, we hear about some of them.
Yeah.
We hear about
how many guys are just like laying low, just lethal.
That they're just laying low, putting them back or killing them, putting them on their freezer, whatever.
You know how many, like, Adam, you know the mounts that are in some of our good buddies' houses, like from back in the day, even like 10, 15 years ago, like 20 years ago, like, wow, 20 inches, 18 inches.
And I don't even, dude, and I don't think that the state record has to come from a public body of water either.
Really?
I don't think it does.
I hope it does. I actually think for some odd reason, I think it does in Minnesota, because I feel like in Iowa, I think in Iowa you can catch them like in farm ponds and register.
Which I think you should have to catch it somewhere everybody can fish, because otherwise, like, what, I'll go catch like a 15 somewhere, and I'll go like, okay, I'm gonna put it in my buddy's pond, catch it in 3 years, and
I agree. I'm just saying, I don't think it has to be. So it's like, how many of these like mega freaks are people catching out of like a private lake or something?
Yeah. No, I think that'll be really cool. I'm glad we figured that out in the middle of the podcast. That's exciting.
Yeah. They don't make it easy, dude. I was looking deep.
What's next on the agenda? We digress. Adam, I need you to bring this into the pod. We've been talking a lot of ice fishing. The first Bassmaster Open just happened. Take it away. I'm gonna go to the bathroom again. Loose bladder.
Bass fishing is back.
Bass fishing is back.
I didn't watch a lot of it, so
that's okay.
No. Basson's back. Scott Martin broke the 3-day Bassmaster record. He almost hit 100 pounds in 3 days, which is like outrageous.
That's so much.
It looked like I don't know exactly what they were doing. I saw Easton Fothergill was there on the last day, which was sick. Shout out Easton, Minnesota Bass Hammer. Won the college bracket, and he
won his way in, right? I mean,
well, yeah, he's already in the Classic this year, but then he got all his opens paid for. Now he's fishing to get into the elites. First tournament, finishes top 10, caught his PB day 2, and then he beat it on day 3 on FS1, which was sick. But it looked, from the way I saw it, I think most of the guys who are in the top 10 were fishing bed fish with live scope that you could not see. And
that always blows my mind, dude. That it's like we're still ice fishing and these guys are literally catching bedded fish.
Yeah, dude, they've been bedded in Florida for like the last month or 2.
I know. It's just always amazing to like hear that though.
Yeah, like I talked to my buddies in Florida and they're like it's October, November. They're like, yeah, they just hit the hard pre-spawn. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. God dang.
So yeah, bass fishing started. So that's sick. The MPFL kicked off. I know MLF kicked off. Dude, you guys want to see something outrageous? I had some buddies send me. Go look at the MLF BPT. They had some reels they put out of the footage of guys scoping on like Toledo Bend. Look at how bad all those comments are.
Or like, they're not good.
People are livid. Like they're just like, this didn't even fish it, blah blah blah. Like,
because they were watching Randy coverage and everything.
Yeah, the whole Randy Blockett brigades out there just lighten up comments
on
off.
reels.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like you can go look at it and you're just like, dude, this like that's what I hate most. Like, I am all for people making content and everything about fishing. I think everything to help out the fishing community and make it positive is great. But I've talked with a lot of people about this, and like, in my opinion, what Randy Blockett does for the fishing industry right now is nothing short of just terrible, because all it is consistent negativity.
It is a lot of negativity, which is
dragging so many people down. And like, you can see the industry right now is so hostile and pissed off. And it's like, dude, this is not like, you want to grow the sport and make everything better. This is not doing that. It's making everybody angry. And like that for non-endemics trying to get in and like people trying to get involved, they don't want to see that.
But that's the outdoor industry, man. It's like, I don't know why it's always been this like consistent, like everyone's one up in somebody or mad about like success is like, you can't just be happy that somebody's doing something cool, you know? Like,
well, yeah, now it's just getting everybody pissed off about this technology and everything. It's like, dude, like, this is the way it is right now. It might change in the future, and that's fine.
It will. I'm sure it will
change if you want it to. I know it's going to change in some level, because there's no way they're going to be able to keep broadcasting it this way with live and live imaging the way it is. They're going to have to put some sort of restrictions on it. I would imagine it'll be coming eventually.
Like you're saying, like at the competition level.
Yeah, just because of how much negativity there is. Like that's I think the way it's going to be. But just on the base level of it, like, dude, like we see a little bit of negativity in the ice market with it, but most people are just like, this is cool. Like, whatever. Like, this is sweet. Like, people are catching more fish. It's cool. Whatever. Yeah. I don't get what the big deal is down south bass fishing, but holy cow, people are going around using technology and it's like the end of the goddamn world. So I don't know. I think maybe we've been seeing it a lot more used for other stuff. And just maybe it's so fresh down there, because we've been watching this, happen ice fishing now for a while. Like, guys have been making YouTube videos of it.
Probably like a solid 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
Even more. I mean, dude, think back to the weave videos a long time ago with the OG Panoptics. Like, we've been seeing it for a while, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And like, it's just, like I said, with the whole Randy Blockett brigade. And I will call that out because I don't care. It's just so bad for the industry negativity wise. I'm so against that. And I've talked to like so many guys about that. It's like, I'm happy for what he's done for the industry or whatever in certain levels, but it's like you cannot just constantly put out negativity and believe that you're doing something good for this industry, because you're not.
Because it's one thing to have differing opinions and think what you want, but then it's like to like aggressively belittle like a huge portion of like the industry. You know? Yeah.
You're just bringing it down. That's what you're doing. Like, you're making it bad for everybody. You're not doing anything positive to change it. Like, that's always been my thing. Like, if you want to make a change and you want to make a difference, that's cool. Go do it. Like, that's awesome. But sitting on a video and just bitching for 2 years and saying we need to change this, and then doing nothing actively to actually change something, drives me just nuts. Like, that is so annoying, just complaining and not actually making a change. So that is something with bass fishing being back. I was curious to see, how is this going to go? Because, like, dude, the Elite Series schedule this year, I mean, every tournament's going to be a scoping tournament for the most part. Like, every single one of them is going to be. We talked about it when the schedule came out. And I mean, you're going to get to see how guys are going to adjust, because I mean, we're going to see boats this year, dude. Like, I know some Elite Series boats. I've heard through the grapevine of guys having 5 to 6 live scope transducers on their boats. And that's going to happen this year. And eventually there's, like I said, there will be restrictions put on it eventually. I personally think, like, I love live imaging. I think it's awesome. We learned so much from it, and it helps you catch more fish and bigger fish. But at a competition level and just in the level of, like, not making this a money sport, in my opinion, it's just like, you get one deucer, you get one live deucer.
Yeah.
Do with it whatever you want.
And everybody's playing by the same
perspective. Yeah, you want to turn it perspective? Cool. You want to point it forward? Cool. You want to use a saltwater deucer only? Cool. Like, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, because they restrict. It's like, well, you can only use one rod.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Nobody gives a shit about that. No one's like, well, back when we could use 2.
Yeah.
Why can't we troll 6 rods like on the Great Lakes?
Yeah, it's legal. It's legal.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing. So it's like, it's going to end up happening. And I hope they just go, okay, what we're going to do is, because, obviously, like, this tool can dominate. Like, it will dominate a whole season. And it's going to be very effective for fishing for a long time. But you've opened Pandora's box, so there's no way you can just eliminate it and be like, well, we're not going to use it in competition, because that probably won't happen. I think the way you just do it is you restrict it, like people have seen with NASCAR or other things. Like, they don't have NASCAR cars out there that are, like, souped up to the max in horsepower and stuff. They have regulations so people don't die. So it's like
same with motors on bass boats.
I was gonna say
same thing. Yeah, there'll be a restriction put on one day, and like I said, hopefully it's just one deucer, and what you want to do with it, you can do with it. Get as creative as you want. Go for it.
Yeah.
But that's your means then. So, like, if you want to be a scoper, now maybe in practice you can put one on your dash and just drive around and look the whole time, but then the day before, you got to flip it over to the trolling motor for fishing.
In competition,
and that's fine. Yeah. But you get one deucer. You don't get to just have 2 and do both or whatever. You have to be tactical and figure out how you want to do it. Just like when you're actually, like when you're flipping a weed line, like you're flipping a jig, you're deciding, I'm going to flip a jig. Right. You don't get to just be like, well, I'm going to flip a jig and a Texas rig at the same time. And see
or throw a shiner out the back on a bobber.
Yeah, and just drag it along just to make sure if there's any fish there. So,
and I did think it was interesting, though, like in the past few years, how, like, because there was always the thing where it's like, oh, you get to the northern swing and you got all these smallmouth hammers that are just gonna down. But, like, there's so many more guys from down south that are so goddamn good at smallmouth fishing now that they have scope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you never saw that before. Never.
Well, it's because I think it's like smallmouth fishing, in my opinion, it is a lot of, well, it's either like you're fishing rock and like structure and that type of thing, but smallmouth in general, I think what people didn't get before is it's a lot of roaming around, and you kind of roam around an area because that's what smallmouth do.
With scope are good at fishing with scope, and it doesn't matter.
And that's what I'm saying. What live scope enabled those southern guys to do, who, like, they got up there and they wanted to fish a spot or a rock edge, or you know what I mean, for the smallmouth, and they're not relating to that. They're just swimming around. So now they have scope, so they can be like, oh, there they are roaming around. So now these southern guys are getting really good at it because, I mean, like, I relate this back to ice fishing because Griff and I were talking about this the other day. There's some really good ice fishermen now who are like really good at chasing giant crappies with scope. Like they just go around and they scope the whole thing and they're like, okay, there's the big ones. But I think what a lot of people are fundamentally starting to miss now is the patterns of like, why are those fish there?
Right.
And like
actually,
that, like we go
OG
out
pattern.
and like we use live a lot ice fishing, or like I use it a lot open water now, but I don't just like dump my boat in, put scope down and go, here we go, baby, and just start wandering around. Like we go out and we go, let's look at this inside turn. Let's look at this point. Let's look at this. So I think
we're in a weird
too.
spot, dude. Cause think about it. Like, cause before us, like a lot of this technology, like wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even like when we were in college, dude, fishing, that was like side imaging was just coming on.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like, seems like ancient at this point, but like, and now guys coming up now, like high school, like everyone's scoping and doing all this stuff. So it's like, we kind of got this thing where we kind of came up in this deal where we weren't using like a lot of technology and you were doing a lot more like fundamental, like where are they type stuff.
Yeah.
And like figuring out seasonal patterns and locations and stuff. And then you get these tools in your hands that like enhance your learning like 10 times. Right. And it makes you a better angler, but I'm like, I wonder how that's going to shift. Like some of these guys coming up now that it's like, they're getting into high school or college and they are really good with electronics, but then it's like, well, what if you take that away? Or, you know what I mean? Or it's restricted in some way.
Pink, think of this. What if all the fish go to the bottom?
Or that,
like we've seen,
or
like
real shallow or something, or
there's lakes all of a sudden where you're scoping and they're very easy to see, and then all of a sudden they get a little bit of pressure and they just go whoop,
and then you can't see them,
and you can't see them at all, and you have no idea where they are. And trust me, like we've talked about this before, those bass down south do not get nearly as much scope pressure as our fish up north because of ice fishing.
Yeah,
they don't get near the amount. So we're starting to see fish do this up here to get away from scope.
Sure.
So now when that starts happening down south, like I can't wait till I watch my first tournament where like they're on a body of water that's very pressured by scope and they're looking at fish all at practice,
I mean, I could argue
and they
that
just sink to the bottom and they're like, where'd they go?
But like I would
like
assume that like lakes like, you know, Lanier and Smith and Hartwell, like they get scoped like all year round, where our bass really don't get scoped all year round. And our bass have like,
dude, they're just hanging around the crappies and shit. They get hit with scope all winter. Think of all the people sitting in their permie.
But we're not talking. I mean, the size of these lakes.
I'm talking. There's dudes in souped up bass boats, like hundreds,
365 days.
100 boat club derbies happening every weekend on Smith Lake, Lanier, Hartwell. Like that does not happen on Minnetonka. There's not 100 boat scope derbies out there every weekend. Like,
but
our lakes are weed driven too, so they have like a lot of cover. Like,
but those lakes, like down south, like you're talking hundreds of thousands of acres of water.
That's true.
You know, it's not just like a 200-acre lake we're fishing up here.
But they get 300 boats out there on Hartwell, right? This giant lake. They have 300, 400 boats out there scoping for, weeks. We have this year we don't because of the ice season. But Minnetonka, Mille Lacs, Lake of the Woods, Red, you name it.
Yeah.
For 3 months, they will have 2,000 to 5,000 people out there all the time. And now a lot of them are running a live unit.
It's true.
So there's way more sonar pressure on them. They might not be getting chased.
For perspective of lake size too, like for sure.
Yeah, like there's just because like you can only back so many boats into a lake. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it transpires. But like I've talked to Panger about Hartwell and Smith and stuff. Those fish are getting wild now because of like the stuff going on with scope. Like
what are they like? They just run away.
Yeah, he's like, dude, you got to figure out how to cast something over 100 feet, man. Like, it's hard.
God.
And that's what's funny. You used to think you could cast over 100 feet so easily, and then you have to do it, and you're like 80. 80, 90.
Yeah. Well, the guys that fish the elites, though, they're the best bass anglers in the world. They always figure out a way to catch them. So
it's gonna be cool. And with bass fishing being back, what I want to know, Pink, are we bringing back fantasy fishing this year?
We will be. I think it will have to be maybe a little bit more of a formal situation this time, though, and we're gonna hold people accountable.
Contracts will be signed.
Yeah, Stolsky. But the beautiful thing is, because we are closing in on a hard deadline of the Bassmaster Classic and the start of a new fantasy fishing season, is
the start is in it's in a week. Because they have the first tournament on Toledo Bay.
So we'll dig into this, but because there is an actual deadline as to when the new season does start, I feel that we maybe have a little leverage to say that whatever punishment we want to dredge up must be accomplished before the start of the new season.
Yeah. So we can tell Sobi Stolsky
before he heads to Argentina.
Yeah, he needs to do it.
Or maybe in Argentina.
In Argentina. That would be a beautiful 5K.
Yeah. So we could.
I don't think the punishment's that bad.
International punishment. I kind of like that.
Yeah. We just got to figure out the punishment level, and we'll hear from the people. I think
we're gonna lock it down this time. There's gonna be no outs for the grand loser of the situation. So, but we'll bring that around. But let's get into. So we do have a weigh-in tonight, and I think this will be a fun one. We'll get into this. So this is great. We haven't done one of these in a little bit of time, and I don't know if Bart, do we have any way of determining the order for this?
I can look at the last one we did. What episode was it on?
It would have been the one before Weeb.
Yeah, just buy me like 2 minutes.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into it this week. We're gonna go through the weigh-ins and our snake draft picking here. We're gonna just go through. All of us are gonna select four things to be basically on our team or category for this one. Is the worst things about ice fishing.
Okay, so
things.
Based on the Instagram poll, Stolsky won the last one.
Debatable.
Pink got second, I got last.
Okay.
So how do we want to go off of that? Do you want to go first? I'll go second. Sobi goes third, since we'll just go that way since he wasn't here.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Or actually,
okay.
I want the wraparound.
You want third?
Yeah.
I'm still gonna take second, so we can take first.
All right. Yep.
All right. So you lead us off. The worst things about ice fishing.
Give me one.
No.
You need to be prepared. And also, I think this needs to encompass, like, we can't just think about this year, because obviously there's not a lot of snow cover and various
holistically the
worst things about ice fishing. Because this year we haven't had to deal with a lot of bad things other than like dropping a machine through an ice ridge.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
So lead us off, Sobi.
I'm going to say, and this especially tailors to before a lot of forward-facing sonar, just because like now we know how much fish move now, and you know, they can be there one day, gone the next. But like in years past, especially before forward-facing sonar, like if you found a spot or an area and you caught them, I swear back in the day, you could like go back and go back and go back and go back and almost fish some of your old same holes that you had, and you could continue to smash. I'm saying one of the worst things in ice fishing is spot jackers. And whether that's they see you from a distance on the lake, they see a picture you post, they see a background, it's totally different. And people that only fish open water will never understand. If somebody sees you in a picture on open water, they don't really know exactly where you were. But with ice fishing, they can go to that lake if they actually know the background or know that and see the physical hole. They can see that spot you were fishing in. and even refish that same
4
hole.
inches where your jig was.
That is a good one because it is a huge pet peeve I know of ours. Is like you post a picture or something and you're like, oh, that's cool, and then you go back and there's friggin' 500 holes over in the area, and you're like, what? We couldn't just go find our own fish?
And I think there's people that are better at determining where you were than they are at fishing. They're better at that than they are at fishing.
Unbelievable. The amount of keen eyes out there are unbelievable.
I say this all the time too, dude. Like at some of our videos that we filmed, I was like, I was there at that lake catching those fish, and I couldn't have told you that that's the lake we were at based on the video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was there. Dude.
I think about that all the time. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just go with the OG, just ice fishing spot jackers.
That's a good one.
Good one. I like that. So I'm gonna need help in terms of like how I want to word this one, maybe for the graphic, but this goes along with the spot jackers thing. I think you guys will it's like the next level of this, I would think. But it's and it's, I mean, people do it on their own lakes too, but it's the I'm keeping it no matter what guy.
Ooh, yeah.
So like I mean, we run into it because like we're fishing a lot of big fish, but like we practice like selective harvest, all these things. And then, maybe someone shows up and they catch 2 fish and they're 16 and a half and an 18. And they're like, yeah, I'm keeping them.
Harvest.
And you're like, you had to catch those 2? Like, really? Or like, there's a lake with a great population of fish, and then people go there repeatedly and they just kill it.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? And then they're like, my favorite, and Sobi, I'm sure you get this too. People then point at you and they're like, you ruined the lake. And they point at Sobi or us. And I'm like, no, it's the people who then went and kept 1,000 fish.
You're like, that's interesting. I actually let all of them go.
I actually let them all go, and the whole time said selective harvest, catch and release. This is what you should do. This is how we take care of these fisheries. And they were like, you know what? Fuck that. Kill them all.
Yeah, double dippers.
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah, and then they're like, you killed it. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So that's mine. I'll do the keep everything no matter what guy.
Okay. That's solid. Okay. So I get the back wrap around here. So I think my first pick here is just going to be the sheer amount of gear required to accomplish ice fishing.
I feel that.
Whether you're just going bluegill banging for 1 hour or you're going on a weekend excursion, it seems like it's like the same amount of gear and your truck is full all the way every time for the entire season. It's like you're moving out.
Yeah, like you get your bibs and everything in the truck for the year and you're like, all right, this will be here till March.
Yeah. And even like a small trip, like even if you're like trying to kind of pack light, like you will find a way to use every square inch of room you possibly have.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always that point where you like, maybe you organized it nice and then you go fishing and then, it's like sunset now, or you get off and then you're just like, throw it back in there and it just bomb goes off.
And half of it, frozen still. And you're like, whatever.
You could have an organized truck if you're an ice fisherman for all of probably one morning or one evening.
It's not even
after that. Yeah.
It's not even because it's like the night of, you're getting all your stuff ready. And then inevitably in the morning, because like you have everything. I got the backpack. I got this bag. I got this pail. It's got all the stuff in it. But by the morning, I'm just like grabbing shit, like random items that just also have to come that are in nothing. And they just are like on the passenger seat and like falling, like they're just everywhere, dude.
The sheer amount of gear.
I just think of, because this isn't necessarily going to be a pick, but I think this goes along. Well, I don't know. This could be a pick. This will be an honorable mention. I think I'll bring it up later.
We'll save it for the end, bro.
It'll be petty. It's a petty little thing, but I think it's funny.
All right. So sheer amount of gear required.
Yep, I have sheer amount of gear.
Okay. And then I'm going to go with, so this is like something that happens. And I think everyone that's ice fish has had this happen to them at least once. And it is literally the worst. And it's getting to the lake and having forgotten your auger.
Oh, yeah. Or a Vex.
But you can still fish with no Vex.
Come on. I've turned around.
I would turn.
I have went home. I have went freaking home.
So you're saying forgot your.
I don't know where the damn bottom is. I don't know how deep it is, dude. If I don't got the Vex, if I don't have a Vexlar, I freaking will go home.
I don't like ice fishing that much. I like catching. So if I'm like, oh,
I
fuck,
agree,
I can't see them, I go home.
I've spent a lot of time ice fishing with the old just dropper to the bottom, one reel crank off the bottom, and just pounder.
See, if we went to the river, I would be like, dang, that's a bummer, but I feel okay.
Yeah, true. But yeah. I'm just saying, like, the feeling of getting to, because like if you cannot cut a hole, you are not ice fishing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. Like, oh man, it's crazy how much we won't go off on a tangent in this, but just like the evolution of ice fishing, like over the past 10 or 15 years. Like I remember going out as a kid with my dad or without my dad, and you would have the worst hand auger in the world. Like that's what's crazy. We even still come from a time when we used hand augers.
Yeah, I remember hand auger,
yeah.
Two guys, you got your hands stacked on top.
I remember being on like 20 inches of ice in Bemidji with Rello. We drilled like 9 holes on a weed edge, and I was like, we're living here. Hopefully they come through.
Yep. And then obviously the hand auger that you probably had like came from a garage sale.
Yeah,
unless your buddy had a good hand auger with a like sharp blade, and you're like, wow, that's an absolute blessing. Or you go out with the one from the garage sale and you get 2 holes and you're sweating, or you find a dude that has a gas auger and you're like, dude, I'll give you $3 or $2. He just drills 2 holes.
The key was to try to drill a hole with the hand auger and really look like you're struggling. So they go, you need me to drill you a hole? And you're like, I thought you'd never ask.
I probably pulled that stunt, I bet close to 50 times. Where I would physically fish close to the dude that had a gas auger just so he'd see me, and he'd go, you want me to drill you some holes? And I go, oh, I love that. Thank you. And then you're like doing it.
And then you always like, I think I got it.
You don't need to do that. You like purposefully struggle a little bit with the hand auger, and he's like, no, I got you.
That is crazy because we are not old and we can tell those stories. Like that is crazy.
We grew up on the cusp, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
I will go with mine. I want to make sure I get this one. And I don't necessarily know if you guys would have thought of it, but I think it's a really good one. I'm going to go with, inevitably, I think it's by far the most annoying thing ice fishing. We haven't had to deal with it this year. However, the snow/ice chunk that freezes to the bottom of your Vexlar.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're hole hopping and you're like, oh, I'm going to hop over here, you set it down and it just goes to the side. And you're like, yeah. And no matter where you go, no matter how much you kick it, it just doesn't come off.
That's why we can't complain about this year, dude, because we don't even we have totally forgotten what it's like February 1st, February 2nd, February 6th.
It's it's not necessarily that terrible, but like if you want to talk about the most petty little thing that like the whole time you're like, oh my God, it's that.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely annoying.
I agree. What are you calling that?
Ice chunk frozen on Vex.
Okay.
On bottom of Vex,
so just because you brought this up and it just reminded me of it, I'm going to say it right now. So when we were on Mille Lacs the other day, I brought the dog out there, which was fine. Like he was chill the whole time. He hated JB though, for whatever reason.
Catfish J, shout out Catfish J.
Yeah, dude, they did not get along.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea why. And like JB is like a dog guy, right?
Yeah.
So we're out there for like 5 minutes. He's like barking at JB nonstop, like he was an intruder, dude.
You gotta trust River here. Can't trust
I gotta
JB.
kill this guy.
And then here's the icing on the cake. Here's the icing.
Most innocent dude ever.
We're out there. We're out there. It's been chill. He's finally chilled out. We think everything's fine. He gave him a couple treats. everyone's friends here. We're sitting by the sled. JB's over there jigging. And River just runs over there and just pisses on his Vexlar and just walks away.
What did JB? What kind of look did JB?
He literally pissed right.
Did
on
River
the
just stare at him while he was doing it? He's just like,
he had to have.
Wow. To JB?
Yes.
Catfish J.
Yes.
There's a couple. I don't have a ton of regrets in life, but I wish I would have been there to see that. I regret not being there to see that in the moment.
That's a very good story. All right, Sobi, what do you got on the wraparound? You got 2 in a row. Worst things about ice fishing.
I almost want to give this to you, Adam, because you kind of described it, and I think you should make yours more broad. I had written down slush/ice buildup, and that could be on the bottom of the Vex. And you guys know I
think you're fine with saying that for other stuff. I am very specifically saying the bottom of the Vexlar.
I'm gonna do ice buildup on your auger because everybody has had those toothpicks that you've had and you love them, and then your auger all of a sudden after you drill some holes and it's really cold, you go to drill a hole and I don't care what kind of auger you run, it won't.
And you're just smashing it into the ice.
And then you're like,
come on.
And you're making that split decision, like I kind of want to pound on this, but if I hit that chunk off, I could hit the blade and just slit, like, so you're kind of like
just stabbing,
and you do it again and again and again, and then and you're like, okay, I need to find a hole and melt this off, like and you just beat on it. So I'm doing slush buildup on your auger.
Yeah,
when it's cold.
Good. I got ice buildup on auger. Is that good?
Yeah,
got it. Okay, what's your next one?
The next one is fishing laterally 8 inches. I think always toward the end of ice season or even the beginning of it, like we all just end up looking at each other and we go like, and especially like if you have forward facing sonar, when like you rip a hole and you see him move 5 feet to your right, rip a hole, you see him move 5 feet to your left, and you go, I could totally cast over all of you right now if this was open water. You run a bait through all of you because you literally only have 8 inches, basically, if we're talking layman's terms. Fishing in only 8 inches, 8 inches of water.
You want me to just fishing in 8 inches in an 8-inch cone?
Fishing in an 8-inch hole. Yeah, or fishing.
Maybe
fishing in a literal tiny hole.
That's good.
Because I love ice fishing to the bottom of my freaking heart, but you've had days where fish don't.
They just won't come over, and you're like, you got to be kidding me.
Especially on the days where you have to drill right on them. When you're like, you drill a hole, and you're like, nope, 2 more feet.
Yep.
And then you drill, and you're like, they're right between those 2 holes now. You're like, they're 1 foot apart. They're like, no, they're right between them. And then you drill, and sure as shit.
And you're like, why, dude? Why? And then you kind of like,
and then you drop it down, and it's like, oh, sure, I'll eat. But you dropped it down the other 2, and they didn't even show up.
You finally get on top of their ass, and you're dropping down, and your jig's falling, and then they leave.
And there could potentially
that was going to be one of my picks. Shut up.
There could potentially be 30 of them, and as your jig is falling mid-column, you
flickering away. You're like, what the fuck?
Like, how, dude? How can you literally?
Can I just make that my 3rd pick? Because that was going to my next
pick. Not
pick.
even your goddamn turn.
Disintegrating schools.
Yes, it is. I'm in the middle. So we just picked
well, then I guess
on me.
Yeah.
So my pick was going to be when you
one.
finally get in the hole,
you're welcome.
And everything leaves as your jig is going down. Yeah. And I just think of this because of Griffin, my experience the last 2 days ice fishing, where you're like, yes, and you're dropping it, and you're like, no, I know exactly what's happening right now, and it's just getting smaller and smaller, and you're like, before forward facing, you were like, maybe he'll turn around, so you just sit there and jig a bit, and the worst part now is Griff's sitting there behind you looking at them going, they ain't turning around, man. And then you're like, well, where are they? And he's like, oh, they're 30 feet over here.
Yeah.
And it's like the opposite direction. And you're like, what the fuck?
The worst feeling is when you know the fish is facing the wrong way.
Yes.
Like like it's there and you're marking it, but your jig is like by its tail, and you know that. And you're like, there is no way it knows I'm here.
Turn around. And you're just like jigging it as hard as you can.
You're like, they can feel this. They have to feel this.
Lateral line. You have a lateral. This one was born without one.
Yeah. Trust me, the more people have talked about lateral line and bullshit over the last few years and drilling on them and being like, turn around, they don't have one.
No.
They do not. They feed solely on
sight. Don't work like you think it does.
Yeah, especially like Pink. Think of like the one video everyone's gonna see eventually. But we'll have a video eventually from some backwaters where the water was dirtier than I've ever seen in my life. Incredible. And we had to
I've never seen that watercolor before.
You had to drill, right? It looked like, what did I say? It looked like lemonade.
Yeah.
It looked like lemonade. That's the best way to explain it.
Like 4 inches of visibility and like lemonade.
Dude,
color.
You couldn't see the bottom of the ice. Like you drop your jig down and it just disappears.
Pale brown.
Yeah. No, like pale whitish. Like Minute Maid.
Yeah.
What did the fish look like? Were the fish
pale AF, bro?
Yeah, they were white. No lines on them.
Did you eat the fish from that fishery?
No.
Pink kept some of them.
Not that.
Or was it Doug?
Doug did. I didn't keep any that day.
I gotcha. Yeah. So I don't know. But what I was going to say with that, Waldo, Sobi, with that lateral line was Waldo. It was the funniest 20 minutes of my life. Waldo had live zoomed into like 15 feet, and I watched him have a fish by him and drill a hole every 1 foot, chasing this thing around as it slowly is just meandering around.
Like the fish would just turn, and he'd have to re-drill.
Like, and you have to get in front of it.
And then it would go, and he'd drill again, and then he'd drill again. He had like a 20 by 20 area drilled out in 1 foot increments,
and they wouldn't move.
And then he finally caught it, and it was a very big, nice crappie. But it was such a process of like, and then we figured out like, oh my god, they literally can't. Like we were trying to figure out why the bite was so bad, and we're like, oh, they literally can't see it.
Right.
Because we're dropping I'm dropping a chubby darter down there, everything. And then like what we realized is you just have to get something like right there. And they're like, oh, and they just grab it.
If you got it in front of one, you caught everyone.
But you have to drill within this far of their face. Like you drill on their tail and you're like, God damn it.
And they would go
6 inches forward.
Like you drill 7 holes on one fish and they would just sit there.
Yeah, they didn't care at all.
And then your bait would finally get in front of them. They're like, okay, boom.
That's bizarre. That's actually bizarre.
Like, dude, if you looked at like Logan flew the drone before we left there, because I was like, we have to have documentation of what this looks like. And it looked like like a bee honeycomb.
Yeah.
That is what about 40 by 40 area looked like. Wow. So like by the end of it, it was so funny because I can't wait for everybody to see this because it's so outrageous. But like eventually you have Waldo sitting there and like this is just drilled the absolute shit out. Like you're walking on it and you're like, something's gonna break and I'm gonna fall through. Like there's way more water than there is ice in this area at this point in time because of all the holes. And like he'd be pointing live and he's like, all right, it's coming into the spread. And you'd have like 4 guys walk over and he's like, it's going to the 6th hole in the middle. And you watch all these guys go to this different hole that they determine is the 6th hole in the middle. And he's like, nope, one closer. And the whole spread starts moving again. And you're just watching us actively try to get in front of this one fish. And then someone's suddenly like marking.
Hooked. Well, it's only 4 feet deep. Yeah. So it's like your deucer's like hitting them in the face also.
Griff so literally hit one in the face with his deucer. Literally, it slipped out of like the groove thing and he dropped it in and it just went dunk, and like you watched his cord flop and he was like, oh, I hit him in the head.
It slacklined the cord because it hit the fish.
Wow.
Like Waldo was watching it on live and watched it like get hit and move off. And then a minute later, we caught it.
That is so weird. That is weird.
So what are you calling this?
Sorry, but this is drop in a hole and all the fish leave.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, that was a random side tangent of something very funny when we were talking about that.
All right. So it's to me, right? Last two here.
Yes.
I'm taking stepping in a 10-inch hole.
Very good one.
I've only been fortunate enough to do this twice in my life, and I regretted both times instantly.
I'm allowing stepping in a live well to also fulfill this because I did that the other day. Twice.
Twice, actually, in less than, what, 1 minute?
Yeah. Yep.
He steps in like a...
I'm going around with pink scoping because I've just had like the best time of my life. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll get you on one. And we go walk over and he's like, I'm going to drill a hole right here. He drills and I just step forward on something I think that's frozen and it's a live well. And I just put my boot right into it and like almost fall over.
Well, luckily it had a bottom. Like it wasn't melted out.
It did have a
you would have died probably.
Yes. My whole leg would have went in. I was just on the moon, not thinking about anything I should have been thinking about. But literally, so I'm like, oh, haha, funny.
Right back
I was like, oh, haha, funny. We look at live and I'm like, all right, we'll move. I step directly back into the same thing and fall over. And he looks at me and he's like, I felt bad for you for the first time. But the second time, like, and he kind of looks at me and I'm like, yeah. He like looks at me and I'm like, no, like this is on me. This is 100% my fault. Like that was me. Like I should have known that was there. It was a foot and a half from me this whole time.
That's a good one.
But yeah, and I've only had that happen to me once where it actually like sucked really bad because I fell and then I biffed my shin on the front.
And
just tore it up, dude. Like it like just goes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, stepping in a 10-inch hole, not good. Taking that one. And then final pick here. Ooh. God, I have two good ones. I think I'm just gonna take always having dead bait.
Oh, that is a great one.
Whether it's like a bucket of minnows or a pocket full of waxies or whatever, it's like always, dude.
Okay, here's a side tangent on the dead bait deal. And I don't know if it's just this year because of the peculiarly warm temperatures or whatever, but all my Euro larva is like turning to flies. And if you empty it into the trash and you don't take your trash out for even a day, they all turn to flies. I had flies in my garage everywhere yesterday, and we broke out the fly swatter. And the last time I had it was in September, and there was flies everywhere in my garage.
Because your Euros were pupating into a goddamn pterodactyl.
And they can be in remission, dude. I don't know for how long. I took old Euros out of Steph's bibs from the beginning of December from the ice show. She like had an old pack that I gave her like when we were first going to go out. And it's like, whatever. Oh, I should dump these. Blah, blah, blah. They're all black, just little worms. I put them in there. In a day, they were all flies, dude. Flies everywhere in the garage. This had been a month in remission of them all being black and dead. Isn't that unreal?
Damn, dude.
Unreal.
Yeah, crazy. That's nuts. Okay. I got my last one. And I have got
it's a good one though. Dead bait.
One we haven't experienced a ton, but I have experienced it a few times this year. It's when it's halfway, you get out on the ice, you're like all pumped up and like you start going around catching some fish, you're having a great time, and it's like around noon and you're like, God, I haven't drank anything. And you go walk over to your sled or your snowmobile and you like grab your beverage and you're like, fuck, it's slush.
Yes.
So it's your beverages freezing halfway through the day because then like you're screwed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, frozen drinks. That's the worst. Damn. Like you walk over to crack open your Celsius and you grab the can and it's not firm. It like know what I mean?
Slack.
There's a little slack in there and you're like, no.
But you still open it because you're like, maybe.
Yeah,
and then you just wasted it.
Yeah, and you're like, has it just started freezing, or is it like frozen? And you open it and you like tip it, and you're like, and like some liquid comes.
Here's
in,
the deal: it never
and
just started.
All of
freezing.
a sudden, it's slush, and you're like, damn it.
Yes.
That was a wasted $3.
Yep. But then the beautiful part is that next week it will thaw in the sled in your truck, and you will have to dump it all out later once it's inside of all your gloves.
Yeah, that honestly that's the thing this year that it's always been above freezing is normally it just freezes in a block and then it just stays in the back of your truck until the end of the year. And then you're like, oh, I should probably get rid of this before like it melts.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's been like, oh, it froze. And then like 2 days later, you like Pink said, you take the sled out and you look at the bottom and you're like, it hasn't rained or snowed or anything. Oh no, that's Gatorade and Celsius and a little bit of water.
It's 50-50 Gatorade and Pike slime. And it's a deadly
Get closer
combo.
to your mic.
I was just taking a break, brother.
Oh, you're good. Well, you were just talking and I was like, I can barely hear Pink. It sounds like he's 500 miles away.
I was.
But yeah, so frozen beverages halfway through the day.
Nice.
That's a good one. That is a good one. And,
Right,
and everyone has always been, I'm always so proactive in the sense of like, I'm going to bring waters today. We get to hydrate, bring waters. And then they're all frozen. Like a freaking
The best thing I ever did, and I didn't do it as much this year. I did it when we traveled because I like had it a lot more with me. But the best was when we had like those Yeti jugs or whatever from Black Rifle, Pink, and we would just put water, Mountain Ops or whatever in them because those don't freeze. So you'd like open it.
They're insulated.
Like, yeah. You're like, nice. Yeah, good. And then like you go over to grab like the Gatorade you bought at the gas station and it's 9 a.m. and it's a block. And you're like, well, I got this for the day. But you had something. This year it's been like, you're like,
see, I still have that thing. And I actually have one that's a half-gallon one too. But I stopped bringing it because it's like it works really good. But like I always put it in my sled and then it just turns into like a bludgeon and just crushes everything. Because once you fill it with water, it weighs like 10 pounds. So when you're like going, because it's round, so it rolls really easy. So it's just like,
and you're dragging it behind the ATV
everywhere.
and it's just,
and it's just like just demolishing rods and like Vexlars and stuff. And it's just like,
is that why we tipped your, is that why we tipped your sled completely over and ejected everything coming off the lead like the other day?
Yard sale.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
we yard sale deep. Luke from Hummingbird, if you're listening to this, turn this off. we're getting off a lake and I'm like on the snowmobile and Logan hops or the ATV. Logan hops on the back and Pink has his sled and I'm dragging the X200 behind and I'm like, yo, Pink, you want to drop on the back? He's like, yeah. Hops on the 200 and I take off.
I laid in the tub and I was just holding the rope to my sled, which is like substantially smaller. But we had like a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, you got all your gear.
And Bart's ripping the snowmobile, right? And I'm just laying on the back. Like
I'm not even going fast. I'm going like 10 miles an hour.
But we're like going, right?
Yeah.
And we go over a little ice ridge,
Yeah.
And we go over that like no big deal. And I'm kind of just like, oh. And then like we go, my sled comes over it and then gets sideways. And then it cracks the whip on the thing. And the entire thing flips sideways.
First, the Mega Live Deucer starts like dragging, and Pinky
no, I'm taking these earbuds out.
No, it gets better. It gets better.
So he's like, Bart, and I like turn to slow
yelling
down
to like stop the sled.
And I turn to slow down, and the moment I turn to slow down is the moment that sled hits that ridge,
the ice ridge.
And turns sideways and eject. Everything.
And there was a 5-gallon bucket of like all the stuff that you're like, oh, I'm gonna put this in the bucket so we don't lose it.
Yeah,
like all this little shit.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
Put this here, keep it safe.
Camera gear,
everything,
expensive rods, Mega Live,
and it just explodes all over the ice. We're like,
ejected.
No. So, and then of course, in the panic of like, hey, let's make sure we collect all our shit. I'm like laying in the tub, like on my back. And I'm like,
video clip is so funny.
And I roll, I like try to, because the X200 is like pretty deep. Yeah. So I like roll and I like sling my leg over, like I'm jumping over the boards, like it's my shift to get in the game. And like I get onto the ice and it is like absolute glass slick. And I put like weight on my leg and just immediately smash to the ice, dude. And like it blows my hat off, dude, like everything. Like I went from like standing to like connected to the ice in like half a second.
I need to send you this clip.
So now there's like all our shit is spread out everywhere. Like it was
that
just
is honestly so relatable because anybody who's done any ice fishing at all, they have definitely like dumped all their gear if they've done any transportation, even at 10 miles an hour.
Oh, dude, I'm just like rolling around on the ground. Like,
the best part is Logan films the whole thing. So the clip starts with Pink laying on the ice, scrambling, trying to get up, and there's shit ejected everywhere. And I had gotten off the sled by this, or the ATV by this time, and I'm walking over, and Logan's just holding it in one spot, looking back, and Pink's like drunkenly getting up off the ice.
Like,
I look at him, and like there's basically no word said, and all he does is like a 2-year-old throws his arms down, looks at this guy, and just goes, "Fuck!" that's the clip.
it was just like a rage quit, dude. I
It's
was
so
funny.
This guy is like,
oh my
he's
god!
Like, why?
That's exactly it. It's for sure gonna end one of the videos. It's so funny.
I was like, and we were like,
you should consider starting one of the videos with that. Why not? Yeah, just like that's why.
It's so funny. It's an all-time clip. It is, and we get in, and like Griff, Waldo, and Doug are like already basically completely packed up.
Yeah, and we're like
looking at us,
shambles, like undoing all this shit that we just haphazardly tossed back in the thing.
They're like, "What happened?
Like, where were you guys?"
They're like, "It took you a while. We heard yelling." And I'm like, "We ejected everything out of this
yard sale.
Yard sale."
That would be a good way to start one of these vids, dude. Just start it, and then like immediately after, be like 8 hours earlier.
Yeah. Start the video with that. Please do it. Please start, because like
that would be a great for audience retention. They'd be like, "What?"
We have to see this. We have to see this through.
All right, Sobi, your last pick. This has been the longest way in ever, but it's been some great stories. Yet? No, Sobi's got his last, the worst things of ice fishing pick.
Okay,
it's an oldie, but a goodie, and I think I'm gonna do it. And this has a lot to do with fishing in ice shacks, fishing in permit shacks, fishing in spear shacks, fishing in flip overs. It's burning your bibs. Everybody at one point in their life has burnt their bibs. Many folks have burnt their eyelashes or eyebrows during the old sunflower days. Just you ever remember lighting those sunflowers back in the day? Yeah, I burnt all. Yeah, but burning your bibs. Everybody's got too close to the sunflowers or Mr. Buddy Heater. And you burn a little hole in your bib, and you're like, no. Like you could fix it, but it's like the damage is done.
What about the Ryan Whitney melted bibs?
Well, yeah, that was like extreme though. Like
that was like I sat in front of a heater for an hour and didn't realize that the heater was there, and I melted cloth.
But I get what you're saying though, dude. Like, because I think it's even the like the newer bibs just like melt, but like, dude, like just burnt like Carhartts even.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a vibe.
That's a good one. All right, I'll go back through these so that everyone remembers what they are. Then we'll say any honorable mentions. Right. So first off, we got Sobi with spot jackers, ice buildup on auger, fishing in a literal tiny hole.
That's such a good one.
And
that might be
burning your bibs. That's a good list. We got me with keeping everything no matter what guy. Ice chunk frozen on the bottom of Vexlar.
Yep.
Drop in a hole and they all leave. And frozen beverages halfway through the day.
That's solid, dude.
Strong.
That is solid. Very strong.
And then we got Pink with sheer amount of gear.
Yeah.
Forgot the auger. Stepping in a 10-inch hole. And always having dead bait. A very good list. All very different lists.
So
very good
different. There's a couple home runs in there that
I
think will resonate.
So I have one honorable mention.
Honorable mentions and go fast. Just go fast them because I've got some as well.
Yeah. So I just have one. It was made. Well, I have two. One's just a frozen glove, but
it's
like Very easy.
Yeah.
So this other one, very petty, but I know you guys will feel this. It's when you like go to load your ice house that barely fits in the back of your truck and you push it in and you go, shit, there's a propane tank on the other side and I can't get it in.
Oh, in front of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to like pull it all the way out and then open your cover so you can actually get all the way back there. And then you move this little 1 pound propane tank over like a foot and a half and then it slides all the way in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those were my 2 honorable mentions.
I like iced up shack. So like if it's a flip over, like having the cloth getting all full of shit, like where you can't fold it up right, or just a hub house, like it'll never go back in the bag after you use it. Cause it's just like it's either full of ice or they're like wet. Cause you know, you run a heater all day in a hub and it's just like soaked.
I just thought of another one when you said that. So we go ahead.
Say it. No, say it.
I was going to say just in general, putting a hub back in the carrying bag.
Oh, well, they're better now. They're better now. They're a lot better now.
They are a lot better.
2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I feel like once you took the hub out of the case, you had a very slim shot of getting it back in there. And then if you did, it took multiple dudes, a lot of struggles.
It was like a 4-people team effort.
But nowadays they're a little bigger. I think all brands across the board, they've made bigger bags, which is sick.
I would
really spent the money on that 1 more inch.
They did, but it makes the world. It really does.
I just think back of those times where you put it in and then you go to zip it and you look at it and you're like, how did this fit in here before?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what else you got, Sobi?
Kind of like your frozen glove, wet gloves. And maybe it's even just finger gloves you have or whatever. Yeah. You just like, you went for that one big fish and you're like, it's big. And it's like 11.5-inch crappie, not big. You scooped it out and you're like, why did I just do that? And now
instant
it's like,
regret.
You take it off, and now this hand's really cold, and then maybe you go get your big glove and I fish with it, and then maybe you're like, well, I don't want to fish with it. Okay, maybe I'll try that one again. It's cold and wet, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm just Dude, I can't win.
And like you have that like I don't know. We always call it like when your hands get stupid.
Yeah,
like when they stop working, like you know what your hand's supposed to do, but it like won't.
Yeah,
and you're like
you go to send a text, and you're like, I can't reach my
your
thumb
like
far.
doesn't even bend anymore, or like you're trying to like get the hook out of a fish and you're like, just do it. Like it just won't.
Another honorable mention is, and I feel like this is maybe more gill fishing back in the day, or just fishing on a group of holes where you're not really hole hopping that actively, is your feet falling asleep. You ever been fishing on your knees so much and you stand up and you're like, oh, good God. Oh no. And you're like, your feet, you get the full tingles from your knees down.
That's been happening more this year with no snow on the ice. So like you're in a weird position.
Cement.
Yeah. Yep. And then you stand up and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I think the last honorable mention I had was refreezing holes. Ooh. Like we haven't had it this year at all, but like, God damn, I hate that.
Yep.
Especially when it's like halfway through the day.
Yeah.
And they're refreezing a decent amount. And you're like,
or like if you're tip up fishing or like, or just trying to hole hop, like you spent the time to drill like 50 holes and like you can't fish any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like refish them.
And you go back through and you kick them really hard on a really cold day. And then like they open, but they open like that much. And you're like, and you make that split decision in your head, like, I could fish this, but it's like, are you going to reel up? Are you going to reel up a 10-inch crappie through this 3-inch hole?
Right. It won't fit.
Yeah. No.
It won't fit.
No, I think those are all very, very good. We could probably come up with way more of them.
Yeah. Comment more down below. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, please comment them down below.
Yeah. And I'm sure we missed something super obvious that sucks really bad. So just comment that because
the easy home run, but no one uses them anymore. Old school would have been when the gas auger doesn't start, but nobody uses them anymore. So it's like,
because like you hear one now even, and you're like, what? And it's like it's like a mile away, and you hear it, and you're like, wow,
whoa,
you pilgrim.
And then you see someone come out with a hand auger, and you're like, oh wow,
we need to help them.
Like immediately you're like, hey, we'll go help. No, those are all good. I think those are great. I mean, I think we got anything else, or this has been a great episode, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, that's been good.
Well, I'm just curious to see what plays out over the next couple weeks with ice and just fishing in general. So, well, next pod should be an interesting one to see where everybody's at.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. We'll see how everything's shaking out. I think, I think by the next one, the first Elite Series event will be done. I haven't looked at the calendar, but it'll either be done or it'll be that week. So we need to get a fantasy fishing group open. If you guys want to join, come join. We'll leave it open for everybody to hop in, have a good time again. And we'll try to figure out maybe some prizes for like winners and stuff too. So it's not just a punishment for us, but for listeners who beat us, maybe we'll get some stuff figured out for everybody.
We'll get some prizes.
Love it.
We'll actually invest in some stuff because we love all you for making us the #1 podcast and the outdoor podcast in the world.
Yeah. So thanks again for listening. And this has been another episode of Pass the Barb.
Peace.